everybody, it's Real Shade here again, and welcome. Thanks very much for joining us. It's a little bit of a change this week, but I hope you'll appreciate it. It's Sunday, everybody's chilling out. I'm finished work. Everybody's taking a lazy day on the Sundays, and just want to thank you very much for joining us. So, if you don't know, my name is Jamie. I'm a resident shitty critic. There's Darren over there. There's resident hat wearer. Eminem impersonator, and then we have resident artist Derry in the top left hand corner. So this week we're going to be discussing the 1975 classic One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. How did we get on? Did we enjoy it? I enjoyed it. Well, I enjoyed it because I've seen this film before, but to a different extent, I think. Maybe I've just grown up in heart. But Darren, just a quick synopsis. Give us a little bit of a rundown. It was your pick this week, effectively, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was my pick. Yeah. But it's about it's so weird. It's about a mental asylum. But how do I even give it without giving that away?
Give us a rundown of maybe why.
Jack Nicholson plays a guy called R.P. McMurphy who gets committed to this insane asylum. And there he meets some very strange and wonderful people and just learns a lot about himself. I don't know how to give a rundown.
Well, let's start off with why did you pick it? Give us a few lines on why you picked it. Give us one line on why you picked it.
Because it's fucking awesome.
Yes!
Yes.
Derry,
no, it's just...
Derry, your first time seeing the movie.
You're going to drop me in it like that. You're going to.
I'm going to drop you in it. I'm excited to hear your thoughts on it. So what do you think? Give us a.
Do it.
In one line.
Do it. One line.
I was really bored.
Oh, bored. Okay, well, you know what? I wasn't bored. But I think we all might have a little bit of a different opinion. So that's good.
He hates me.
I gotta have beer in front of me here now because that just what. Okay, wait.
I'll drop a bottle, don't you?
Said that.
So let's get stuck in. We'll go to the famous IMDb and we'll just read a little bit about it. We'll introduce some of the cast and some of the characters, and then gotta stick around till the end to find out what we're watching next week. Again, just before we get into everything, we're going to be on YouTube. On what day is it, Derry? All this week, pretty much. From Tuesday onwards. Tuesday. So if you miss out on something, we're going to be putting up the full video on Tuesday. And then we'll have shorter videos of kind of split sections of the overall podcast. So do feel free to tune in however you like and subscribe. We're also on Instagram, so the lovely picture up at the top left will be on there during the week as well. So get around to liking that. So let's dive into it. You can begin, Derry. Okay. So what I found weird on IMDb is the cast list. It doesn't list Jack Nicholson at the start, but it lists Michael Berryman, the guy from The Hills Have Eyes.
Yes.
He's right up there. But let's read a little bit of a summary about it. So, a criminal pleads insanity and is admitted to a mental institute where he rebels against the oppressive nurse and rallies up the scared patients. What do we think of that? I think that's not really, it doesn't, I think IMDb fails again to really explain the movie in depth. I don't really think it's about that at all.
Yeah,
Darren?
I don't know.
my daughter.
Again, another one that wouldn't make me want to watch it, you know?
It wouldn't make me want to watch it, IMDb. Make me want to watch these things. I think it's a little bit more of a psychological thriller-esque kind of a thing. 83% Metacritic score, so that's pretty good. We have Danny DeVito. I don't actually know the names of most of these actors, effectively. There's a lot of really good guys in it. The guy that plays Turkle at the end, that's Scatman Crothers. I imagine. He was in The Shining, which is another film I haven't seen before. Darren, it feels like you're holding me in your arms and you're taking me to bed.
I am. I gotta
Darren.
I gotta change venues. We gotta change
Just carry
venues.
me. Don't. Yeah. Just put your hand over my face and whisper sweet nothings into my ear.
I'll take you on a ride, buddy.
Oh, Jesus. Right in front of all these people?
It's not that kind of channel.
Not yet. Hey, the amount of times we've seen... How much bits and coins do those sexy ladies get on Just Chatting? Maybe we could emulate that.
Oh,
we'll make Derry's picture bigger, and we'll make our picture smaller, and the art one, we'll make that equally as big.
Where is it going?
What? No, nowhere. I'm just suggesting. We exploit what we have.
My 2-year-old is upset she's going to bed, so she's not too happy. What was the question?
What was the question? She wants to stay up and see the podcast. So the question was, there's a lot of famous actors in this, but I can't, for the life of me, remember half of their names. Like, I remember what they're in. The Doc from Back to the Future. There's, Danny DeVito, of course.
Christopher Lloyd is, like, a lot of people...
Christopher Lloyd.
You not know any of you guys in this, no?
No, I do know. I know a lot of people. It's just, I don't know their names. I'm crappy with names.
I'll run down... Do you want me to run down the list, or do you want me to...
Yeah. Do a quick rundown of the list and give us something that that they've been in. Give us some of the top 5 hitters, Darren.
Top 5 hitters? Jeez, well, you have Louise Fletcher as Nurse Ratched. I think the biggest thing she probably ever did was Nurse Ratched because she won an Oscar for it. She's
another Oscar winner.
Yeah, well, like this, I'm saying, like Jack Nicholson and Louise Fletcher are both Oscar winners. You know what I mean? Danny DeVito, obviously. You have one of my favorites in the movie is Will Sampson, who played the chief. His full name in the movie is Chief Bromden. Well, he's actually never called Bromden. He's just called Chief in it. Who else do you have? You have Brad Dourif, who played... Brad Dourif, who played Billy Bibbit. What an actor.
Oh my God, that's the guy. He was in Deadwood. He's probably one of my favorite actors ever. He's fantastic.
He is... Like, this thing... Like, when it goes on Broadway, it goes on stage the whole time. But a lot of people want to play the R.P. McMurphy part. I would love to play the Billy Bibbit part. That's such an amazing fucking role.
I think you'd be great in that, actually. When I was watching that, because I think you would be able to hold yourself like that with the hair. Like, I think you'd be able to get that physique down so well.
I've always, no matter, like, since I watched the movie years ago, I always just loved that part. But anyway, we'll keep going. Christopher Lloyd is Tabor.
Yep.
And just as I said to you earlier, no matter how long he's on set for, no matter how long his scene is, you always remember him. Him and Harding killing each other.
I love Harding. He's so good.
Yeah,
Hard on.
But your man, Sidney Lasik, who plays Cheswick, is outstanding in this movie.
He is so good.
This is why I love this movie, because this to me, and I know I say about a lot of movies, but I really mean about this movie. This to me is probably some of the best acting I've ever seen in my fucking life. Ever.
What I like about it is it's far enough in the past where people were still ignorant about mental issues, and it's close enough to us now that it's slightly uncomfortable in places. And I like that. And you get, like, some of the biggest actors in the world at the time were in this. You were saying Jack Nicholson won a BAFTA for it.
He won a BAFTA for Chinatown while he was filming this.
Oh, that was it. Yeah, for Chinatown.
Yeah. Well, like I said, a lot of the actors in this, like, I think there's very few actors in this movie, like, that haven't won awards for something, because they're all, like, the whole cast in this is phenomenal. Like, your man who plays Turkle, obviously he was he was in The Shining as well. So you know what I mean? There's a lot of cast who have been together, who've worked before with each other, like in other movies.
Christopher Lloyd and Danny DeVito had been in Taxi together.
Well, see, there you go. Like, what this was to me, this is the director, the casting agent, that was like seeing, like, she saw potential when, like, apparently, and what makes me laugh is these guys weren't at the height of their career when they were doing this movie.
Yeah,
like, they weren't.
Exactly.
They were good actors. They were working consecutively. They were working, like...
Well, Jack Nicholson, I think, was, like, the main star, but the rest of the supporting cast were TV actors, or they went on to be big film actors, or been in feature films.
Yeah, but this movie played a lot because obviously, as I said to you earlier, people seeing how good, like, look at Danny DeVito, how young he was in this movie.
I know, right? It doesn't even look like him. It doesn't even look like him.
He was so fucking weird in this movie. I was like,
yeah, like with the eyes. I loved it.
And then when your man says, like, what do you say to him? Do you like looking at other people's cards? Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And then, so you look at Danny DeVito now in Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Like, just amazing, just spectacular. Sorry, I'm rambling on.
No. Yeah, no, perfect context for the actors and everything. I think you explained it really well, just in terms of the breadth of the cast. A lot of fantastic actors, even people that really, and there's a lot of this. There's a background characters that say fuck all or have one lines that are like amazing. They do. Like they fill it. They fill the atmosphere.
I don't know what his name is. I think I have him here. Oh Jesus! Well, Scanlon. Scanlon only has one or two lines, but he's great now. He's the guy with the long hair and the big beard.
He's one of my favorites.
Yeah, but also like it says here when I'm looking at something here, it says Kirk Douglas was in it.
He was the producer. He produced it.
Oh,
aha! I out-researched you, research man.
But Michael Douglas had the rights and sold them to Kirk Douglas, who wanted to be in the movie, but he was too. Michael Douglas wanted to be in the movie, but he was too old.
Shut up and get back to drawing. There's nobody talking to you up there in the corner.
Who wrote research too?
Damn it! I'll turn off all your cameras. So let's get stuck into the movie. So this time around, we're doing something a little bit different as well. We're going to be chopping and changing everything. We're always taking suggestions and feedback. So I think this is a good place to start. So this time we'll be going through scenes of the movies. Feel free to stop us if you find a good one. Make a clip. Who knows? So we'll get stuck in. The start of the movie, very boring. So these are one of these movies that I have seen long enough ago that I remember very little about it, but enough that it kind of still reminds me of, I know the main plot points. But the start, I completely forgot, and now I remember why I forgot it, because it was shit boring. There's a car, and that's about it. So there's a car that drives for a bit. Darren, can you give me some context to this car?
No, I don't know. I wouldn't. I thought it looked beautiful, like a painting. I thought it was lovely. I thought the start of it was really cool.
Yeah.
I thought it showed basically what it needed to show. I didn't think it was trying to hide that, because it shows just. But then again, it's a bit misleading, because obviously you see the mental institution and you think all these guys are committed. You think it's a real mental institution.
Well, that's the thing about it. I think it starts off really, not very interesting at all, to be honest with you. Like, there's no context given. The car is there, obviously. I understand, in the next few scenes that Jack Nicholson is in the car. But is there even any music? I think I forgot. There is no credit roll. Sorry, no, there is a credit roll. Very crappy one.
There's no music on it at all. It's there's like I don't think there's music, because I couldn't hear any, like, unless it was really, really, really low. But
then
there's just talking about throughout the whole movie, or just at the beginning?
The funny thing about the music that's in this movie is there's very, very, very little, and where there is music, it's like I'm not gonna replicate it, because it could be a little racist, but the Native American music, they go overboard on that at the end. They imply that he's like, he did a good thing, hi-yo, and then it's like killing it. Anyway. But, so, we get a nice little segue into, I think, Nurse Ratched, actually, Billy is probably one of the big main characters in this, and so is Nurse Ratched. Is it Nurse Ratched, or Nurse Ratched?
Nurse Ratched with a D.
Ratched.
I would give her the D. I would give her the D.
Jesus.
So, Nurse Ratched... you're kind of introduced, and it's like she's getting ready for the day, just a small introduction into her. As
soon as you see her, she's like the head. She's the boss lady, because of how the other guys act around her.
Boss bitch.
Well, I have a picture up at the minute. I get the guy that's like, I'm tired. I'm tired. That guy. And that's your first introduction into the whole kind of mental institute, effectively. Are we allowed to call it a mental institute? And what is it called now?
Would you prefer to call it a nut house? I think mental institute is okay.
Mental rehab. How about that?
I think mental institute is okay. It's an institute. It's a building.
Yeah, for people that are, So,
I think insane asylum or nut house is probably worse. I think you're safe.
Insane asylum. That sounds cool, though.
Well, Jack Nicholson calls it a lot of fucking things this movie.
But that's what I'm saying. We're going to get around to a lot of controversial topics. So our introduction into the mental institute is pretty horrific. I love the way everybody's getting their tablets, and there's this guy. I don't know if you've ever seen Police Squad. Have you ever seen the TV show Police Squad with Leslie Nielsen? It was like the inspiration for the movies. This guy was in it, and he was like a shoe buffer, and he gave like tips to Drebin. No, but I always thought it was a bit weird that it's like he's taking it like communion.
Okay.
I just think he's a weird character, anyways.
Yeah, and then but there's later on in the movie. They say, I think Nurse Ratched is like, oh yeah, you've been given your medication to the other guy, and I was like, how is that possible? He clearly always has it done this way because it isn't creepy at all. So plot hole number 1. Clearly,
there's a tally. That means there's a lot.
Well, I'm only counting them as I go. I don't even have one in mind, but this is the main one. And then we have our introduction into Jack Nicholson. He comes out of a car. And he gets brought in as a thick. Have you taken the hat off because now you kind of look like him? Got the little beanie down.
But, you know what's? I get just a small bit of knowledge. The extras, like not when he when he takes the handcuffs off and he starts going woo and kissing everyone. He wasn't supposed to do that. Like that's obviously a take that was like messed up that they just put in the movie.
I feel like there's a lot of it improvised.
Yeah, a lot
absolutely.
of not ad lib. They were told not to talk to Jack Nicholson while he was doing this because the whole scene.
Don't look at the nickels.
Yeah, but he was supposed to walk in with the lads with the two. What are they called? The
police officers.
Yeah. No, the two not so white guys.
Oh, these guys? No, they're white guys. One guy has a cigar in his mouth. That's white. That's white as heck.
But they were told not to talk to Jack. They were told it was a very serious scene where he walks in and sees and he's looking around and he gets a final look. But when he starts dancing when he walks in, that was just Jack trying to fuck with, because he did it on the set the whole time. He tried to fuck with all the people.
That actually makes a lot of sense. There's a part later where he I think it's when he's coming in and Nurse Ratched does a little bit of a laugh and you can see her hiding it. So that's what I'm saying. Like they looked like they had a really good time playing it, and there was a lot of ad-libbing because that's how you get a movie. I will say this good, though I have a lot of bones to pick with it, just thematically and shit like that. But that's how you get a caliber of movie this well known, is because you get a room full of actors like that and just go kind of do what you want. I imagine that they weren't necessarily said, okay, Danny DeVito, you're Martini, you kind of squint your eyes and you're a little bit weird, and you Harding, you're this guy, and like I imagine they all came up with that character themselves, or I get that impression, like Jack Nicholson came up with that kind of a character. It wasn't written like that, but he. I
think Jack Nicholson was just being Jack Nicholson, like he's like I don't think he was like thought about it too much, and like even in the interview I heard him talk about it, he was like, they were like, did you do any method acting for it? And he said, no, I just had a lot of alcohol. I was like, what a legend.
The 70s. But, I wish actors went back to that.
But like Jack Nicholson, but that's back then where you could do that, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. There was no method acting. That's just how good of the actors these guys were. Mm-hmm. They could just do that. Like, I'm not saying Danny DeVito or Christopher Lloyd didn't do any like method acting, but like for Jack anyway, well, as he said, that was just, he went on set and just did it that way. Like,
yeah,
which I think
absolutely.
I think if there was method behind, like, I'm not a big method actor and that, like, if you're into that, great. But I think the fact that for me, it seems better the fact that he didn't go all method. He just was fucking himself, because there was moments in the movie where it showed that he was completely fucking normal, like totally normal. And then there's moments like he says it himself. Like, what are you in here for? I guess I drink and fuck too much. You know what I mean? That's just a normal person.
And he goes, in the work farm? And he goes, no, I thought you meant something else. But so there's not a lot of cinematography in this film. Like there's not a lot of moments that you go, wow, that's really shot really well. Except for this one. I love this one. Where they're looking up the banisters and everybody's kind of looking down at them. That feels like really claustrophobic. And then you get the ridiculous moment afterwards where Jack Nicholson goes, hey! And starts like kissing him.
Kissing him and stuff, yeah.
And then he gets brought into the ward with everybody else. And I love everybody's wearing those little dicky bows. Isn't that cool? I like those little dicky bows. They look like they're about to burst out into like a cappella.
Or the barbershop
Hello,
quartet.
my lady. Hello, my darling.
The movie literally starts in the second that, like, when he walks from when the scene turns and all of a sudden it cuts to Jack Nicholson, two lads walking in. Mm-hmm. Like, normally there's a load of like no talking, there's a load of setting a scene, and it's just Jack walking in. He just starts walking around. He starts looking at everyone. Obviously, he walks up to the chief and starts talking, and the scene immediately fucking starts. That's what I love about it. Just there's no waiting around. And then it like introduce the character straight away, because then your man says, no, there's no point in talking to him. He's deaf. He's dumb. He's in dumb Indian or something. And
so that's pretty much, he goes up to, like, the first person he goes up to is the chief. And he goes, God damn, boy, you're about as big as a mountain. I can't do a Jack Nicholson impression. That was my best one. Hey, boy, that's a big mountain you got there. No, that's like more Clint Eastwood. I feel like I'm butchering a Jack Nicholson. Hey, sweetheart. Oh, no, wait, that's the other guy as well. So, yeah, we get then the introduction of, what's his name again? The guy from Deadwood? Billy? Billy.
Doroff.
That's it. And, he basically sets up that scene. And that's a cool running thread throughout the whole entire film. And that's what I like about this film as well. It has a lot of set-up plots. And they're not too thick. They're not even thin. They're meaty enough that you're like, oh yeah, that's cool. I like that character paid off. Or that was a nice little moment for that character. I don't need to know why necessarily they're all in there. It's just a kind of, it's a nice character, what would you call it? Character study on how characters are actually developed. So Jack Nicholson walks over, or McMurphy, walks over to the table and basically, what are they playing, like pinochle?
They're playing Go Fish.
Go Fish. I don't even know what pinochle is. It sounds like peanut butter.
Yes.
Peanut butter? And apparently Jack is so amazing. This is where I think he's going around, walking around everybody's cards. Is that it?
Yeah, he's looking at the cards and he starts like flicking his own cards.
Yeah. And he shows the nudie lady. Do you like that? And then Danny DeVito was like, yeah, love them naked ladies. All the way before internet porn.
But that's even before internet porn. Yeah, that was brilliant. Mm-hmm. It was like, but the fact that he's like walking around, he doesn't know these people, and he's talking to lads, and all of a sudden he just puts his hand down and moves your man's cards up.
I love it.
It's interactive. Like, he doesn't know these lads, and this I'm saying, like, this is why I love it, because the movie never, for me, I obviously know Gary got bored, and I don't know your opinions, but I love the fact that from the second he walks in, there's something happened. There's no lull, for me anyway. I just thought he goes over, talks to Chief, Billy talks to him, comes straight over to Billy and connects with lads, starts talking to lads, and there's a scene happens, and it just goes in then to him talking to Dr. Spivey. I just think the movie's brilliant. I think everything that fucking happens in it is great.
Well, if we think about it, like the fact that he's been in prison so many times, that's what you have to do. You literally go up to the biggest guy there is, you fucking say some shit about him, and then you sweep in like you own the place. And that's what he's doing. He's like this prisoner mentality. And we all know why that is, which we're getting to. So he ends up in the doctor's office, and it's Dr. Spivey. Isn't a spiv like someone like an idiot?
I don't know.
Is that more of an English?
I don't know. Well, if you don't know, you're probably called it, guys. Come on.
Is it English slang, though?
I think maybe it is. Maybe it is. I'm getting my American and English mixed up. I don't know. So I love this. I feel like this guy is not an actor at all. Contradict me. I don't know. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong. But the doctor in it, this guy, doesn't seem like a genuine or maybe if he is, he feels like a theater actor. Because the way that he reacts to Jack Nicholson during like these little interactions, this feels like the most ad-lib part in it.
Yeah.
He's talking about the fish and
on the desk. Like he was a fly or something, and the guy was like, okay, yeah, but it was very natural. So
it felt kind of out of place a little bit with the rest of the film. Because it felt that natural. I was like, wow, that feels like it kind of felt awkward in places. Maybe because it just felt like a film, But they sit down and they start talking about a fish.
Your man that played Dr. Spivey, he was like, what did I read? What was it here? I'll check with it. Right, I have it here. I have it wrote down. He was a superintendent, Brooks, right? He was a superintendent of the Oregon State Hospital for 27 years.
So he was actually not an actor. He was a genuine administrator, dean.
I remember reading that and I was like, Jesus Christ, he was superintendent of the Oregon State Hospital. Yeah, for 27 years.
I love that. So he's like genuinely, he was probably like that. He's like so soft spoken. I love that character.
Well, there's cast in it. There's cast in it that are actually people who were from certain hospitals that they brought in. That were
Darren, we're calling them mental institutes.
I know, but I don't. Okay, they were patients.
Hospitals are okay too. Stop being so freaked on PC.
But there were patients at the hospital. Of certain hospitals that were brought in to fill spaces. But they weren't like. I'll move on. I can't even say. I'm terrified to say that wrong now.
Judging you. No, come on, because we're going to get into those hot topics, spicy topics later on.
There was patients from other hospitals, but they filmed in a certain hospital because it wasn't a set. It was actually like proper movies that were movies back then were shot in places like fucking prisons and hospitals. And
you can tell that places was used. Like you can just the way that it looked like, again, like you said, a proper hospital. I love that, and that's what it made. You know what? This film kind of reminded me of like a little bit of an indie film that they got like an amazing actor in for. That's how kind of rustic, I guess. Can you say that about a film? Is it rustic? Can films be rustic?
It was, yeah. Now, back then, it was
like an indie film. It's shot, and again, I think maybe it's just through modern eyes, but to me, it looks like it's an indie budget film. It's all set in the same location. It's set in a real hospital. There's no sets. There's like unknown actors, and it's ad-libbed. It's fun. It just seems altogether like one of those indie films that you'd have on the intranet. But yeah, again, some of these actors went on to be probably some of the best well-known actors around the world. So we start getting the discussion between the doctor, and I think he's trying to suss out why he has been referred to the hospital effectively. And again, it's like this teasing out of okay, I'll just see if he's nuts. I'll see if he is I feel like throughout the whole entire film, it tells you that as soon as you say that you're crazy, they'll be like, no, you're not crazy, get out of here, because he's playing it cool.
Yeah, but he's obviously in jail for a reason where you find that now. And he obviously wants to he's in jail. He obviously was pretending to be fucking nuts to get moved to where he is.
They don't explain why. They don't explain how he did that. It was like you were belligerent. You have a lazy attitude, and this feels like, again, very 1970s. It's like that's clearly a mental disorder. It's like you're lazy. You're dysfunctional in society.
Is he dangerous? Is he dangerous? No.
Yeah.
Or no, he is. He is dangerous. He is fucking dangerous.
Yeah. Do you think he's sick? I think he's sick, and I think he's dangerous.
Yeah, but what I love. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. What I like about the fact is, in movies, when this was made in movies, they don't shy away from stuff they have to talk. They talk about why he's where he is because of what he did. Okay, I'm just gonna fucking say it. He had sex with an underage girl, but like that's enough to say. But I had forgot all about what he goes in and fucking says to her, man. And like me as a father, like of two girls, I'm like, I was looking at it saying, oh my god.
She was 15 years of age. So again, one of those things where my mind blots out from the film.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen it, we warned you last week. You should watch it. So you should be
It's
equally
fucking
as faux offended as we are over something that literally didn't even happen. But okay, so here you go. Here's my reasoning behind this. Okay, you ready? It's coming.
Yeah.
The reasoning behind it is because the ending is so distressing, and especially at the time when that literally happened, you could be hauled away for being dysfunctional or lazy or whatever. Your family didn't, like, literally we find out Billy later on, his mum put him there effectively. Your family could put you in these places, and predominantly male, because again, you know, I don't know if that was a thing that was made of a point of, but it looks like it's a male dysfunction. You know, these aren't traditional men in this, except for Jack. But
you're also talking about a gendered ward where it would just be men in that ward. There could be female wards elsewhere in the hospital, and likely there is.
But what I'm saying is that it feels like at the time, lobotomies could pretty much happen. There, I said it. I've revealed the end of the movie, but it's, I don't know what, like,
that's not the end of the movie.
50
that's
years
just
old.
Like yeah.
That's the fun part of the movie. But what I'm saying is that was a reality. So they actually give you a character that's so depraved, so unlikable at the start. At the very start. You don't even find this out halfway through the film. It's like, yep, you go. You don't even find this out halfway through the film. Like McMurphy, like a scene with Billy that comes over. It's like, hey, McMurphy, why are you actually here? It's like, oh, you know, I did this thing with a 15-year-old girl or whatever. It's like right at the start. It's like, you're not meant to like this character. He's an asshole. He's not only dysfunctional, but he's actually like
depraved and
like, are we going to go as far as saying a pedophilic? Like, but you know, it's pretty much that leaning. You're not long off it. So it's hard at the start to take that kind of seriously, and then like the character as a serious protagonist. Awful character to begin with, but ultimately one that you tend to like because of his dysfunctionality. Okay, Derry, tell me, at this moment in the film, you're sitting there, you're watching it, what are you feeling?
This scene, we're still in the scene with the doctor. This is my favorite scene in the whole movie.
Okay, it's really good. Hang on a second, I'm gonna stop you there for a quick second. So before this, you didn't know about this, you knew about the general idea of the film, did you?
I thought I did. I was very wrong.
Okay, so let's go back to what did you think was this film in general was about?
I thought it was more murdery.
Murdery?
Yeah. I was very surprised when I saw the cover for the video or the poster or whatever, and it had that font, that real sort of comedic font, and I was like, that doesn't fit with what I know of the movie at all.
Okay.
So yeah, I should have taken that as my cue first off. So yeah, no, I thought it was a bit more darker, we'll say. Maybe not murdery, but darker.
Okay, because you knew it took place in a mental institute, but you were thinking, okay, maybe it's like a gritty, again, psychological kind of thing.
Most of what I'd heard of it before was Nurse Ratched, and how she was like evil bitch, you know, like bunny boiler type, you know. This is what I had going in, so I assumed there was going to be a lot more tension between Ratched and McMurphy, and that never materialized for me. Right,
and I feel that as well. So going into it, then you see a scene like this where you're thinking, okay, I'm about to feel sympathetic for this Jack Nicholson character, and then you're like,
yeah. To put it this way, the first time when he came back and faked his lobotomy, I was like, shit.
No, right, I'm back.
You're back from the dead.
So he came back all zombie-eyed, and I was like, oh, nice one, finally we're getting
So you didn't like him from this point, or didn't like him from the moment he came in?
At this point, I was going with the character at this point.
Okay.
It was later on. He just started really irking me. I really just he was arrogant.
Did you just say he was irking you?
Yes, that's
oh my god.
Wait, so really just rubbed me up the wrong way the whole movie. And
I'm talking about Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
Oh, Darren. What?
Jack Nicholson, McMurphy.
No,
McMurphy.
It was fucking amazing. Like, his performance was outstanding, but the character.
Well, do you know what? Then that shows how good of an actor he is, because that person should fucking annoy you. That person should worry you.
So, I have the same perspective as Derry in this. At this point, and again, I'm only going from what I remember now. I've seen it a few times before, but at this point I was thinking, oh wow, I can't remember me not liking the character at the time, especially in this scene where it was just like, oh, he's a kind of a kiddly fiddler. And he was like, hey, she was 35. She must have been at least 18. And I was like, whoa, back up there, Jack. Or McMurphy. Slow down. I genuinely forgot this part of the film. And now I'm starting to think, okay, I remember now him being an asshole. And then I was waiting for Nurse Ratched to be like, okay, she's going to be a complete bitch all this film. And I was like, oh, no, wait, hang a second. She's being kind of reasonable. I kind of do that myself.
At this point in the movie, I'm still open to him having a redemption arc, and you're rooting for him against Ratched. This is where I'm thinking the whole thing is going.
Yeah,
you know.
So
well, I don't even think it was her that was his enemy. I think he was his own worst fucking enemy. Like,
there you go, Darren. I like that.
Yeah, well, that's just it. Like, I never saw not saying again, like you just said there. Not saying that she didn't do a fantastic job. But I never saw her as a villain. I never understood that. Like in fair play for Ryan Murphy to write a whole backstory to her. That's fucking great. But I just never saw her as a villain. I did see her as a reasonable woman until the very end when she does do what she does to a certain character, and then I was like. But it was only that act that she did that I was like, oh, that's kind of fucking shitty. That's awful.
You know, I feel like that was in keeping with the character and the time and her position, though.
Yeah, I don't think she was the.
Oh no, sorry, Darren.
No, I just don't think she was as evil a person as fucking everyone's making out. Like, that's just my opinion. I don't particularly think that she was the villain of the movie. I think Jack Nicholson was the fucking villain in the movie.
Well, she had resting bitch face. That's the only bad thing that I can get that. So so we get on to the part where the doctor is basically trying to suss Jack out, and this is the part where you were talking about, I'm a goddamn marvel of modern science.
Yeah.
So you kind of get an idea that, okay, he's trying to play these people. He's trying to get in there. I think it's only for a short period. I think he's only gone in there for an evaluation, and he thinks he's going to go back to prison afterwards, and then be let out effectively. So we then get brought back in, and this is more of a kind of an explanation of the characters themselves, but in a really subtle way. This guy is one of my favorites. I'm awfully tired. I'm tired. And then I feel like this man is going to be me. Mr. Ellsworth. The guy with the mustache. And he has the tie. He's the only guy wearing like a tie. He looks like one of the orderlies. And but he's wearing like a black tie. He's like dancing around the place. But it's not even dancing. It's like he's just like tapping. And it's like, ooh. He's so weird. But that's me. I'm going to be that man.
But yeah, he's walking
let's pick a character. I'm going to be Mr. Ellsworth. Who are you, Derry?
I'm Chief.
There's only one female character in this.
Anyone not listening to anyone, that's definitely me. Not talking and not listening.
Oh, Mr. Ellsworth.
Chief.
Oh, okay, you be Chief. Okay, Darren.
I'm a little bit of Martini and Chet and Harding together. I'm a bit fucking weird and like
if Martini and Harding had a child.
I'm like one of these. And then like, don't fucking touch me. Leave me the fuck alone. Fuck off. Leave me the fuck alone.
I love that. So we then get our like you get the introduction from Nurse Ratched that she is ominous. You know, she comes down the hallway at the start of the introduction, and now we have her introduction during the meeting with all of the patients. Again, I feel like if they wanted me to hate her, this would have been a great point to do that, and it kind of doesn't. I can tell that it's annoying McMurphy, like when that kind of gets introduced, but I don't feel like it's enough for him to fucking absolutely lose his shit. You know, she's just doing her job, basically.
Well, mostly she's just doing her job, and she even does. I can't even defend this woman. She does do her job, because twice when they get the vote, she leaves him a vote, and when only because
she does. She was like, we'll vote again next time as well. She was like, okay, we'll just have to try again tomorrow.
It's just, but as I said to you, the only thing that I really fucking she's just trying to do her fucking job, but the only thing that really got me was the very end of it, because that's obviously when I was like, wow, what a cunt.
But I feel like this is written from you know, if you're working in customer service, this is written from the customer's point of view. It's like, why are people so mean to me? It's like, oh no, because, you know, that's just how things are done. I'm sorry. Everybody's treated the same. Even, I feel like there's points in it where you want to feel like the characters feel like they're threatened by Nurse Ratched, but they're pretty much free to do what they want. They only really get in trouble when they actually start kicking the shit out of each other, basically.
Yeah.
So we start off with Harding and his wife issues. And
this is my favorite scene of the whole movie. This is my favorite fucking scene. I love this scene. The dialogue in the scene is so brilliantly fucking written. But it's not even written. It's the fucking fact of how they portray, Harding especially. And your man is trying to help him out, but he's like, stop. Stop.
That's Cheswick, isn't it?
Oh, it's fucking brilliant. And just your man, what makes me laugh is McMurphy. They just show him just watching this all go down, and he's like, what the fuck is actually happening right now?
He's like the quintessential cigarette packet in his shirt sleeve.
Oh, I saw. Yeah, what a legend! Right up there, the big square fucking box on his shoulder.
So they're all basically talking about Harding's problem with his wife and why he thinks that she's sleeping with other men effectively.
She's getting what's the phrase they use? She's getting something gazed upon on the street as they walk down. I can only speculate. Why do you speculate, Harding?
He starts going off on this big fucking tangent though, and this is where Christopher Lloyd, you just get that brilliant picture of Christopher Lloyd's face. What is it? It's like in the in terms of human relations, the juxtaposition, and then he's rambling on about just absolute nothingness. He's not talking about anything. And Christopher Lloyd,
he's that kind of guy.
Like that.
But we all wish we could do that when someone starts using big fucking words and thinking they're fucking smart, and just stop being a fucking arsehole. Stop being a fucking arsehole.
Indubitably. Indubitably. So you say that Cheswick starts standing up for Harding, and I think that's when he's like, stop it, just stop standing up for me. Nobody asked you.
I don't want you on my team. And your man keeps. What I love about this is the acting is so good that you can tell they were just acting right up until the point where the director said cut. Because your man's even though your man Hardwick is saying stop, your man keeps saying, I'm just trying to help you. You guys don't want to learn anything.
We then get a kind of transition. So we've already had a nice little introduction from each of the characters effectively. At this point, my favorite is what's Scanlan's name? You're the guy with the beard.
Scanlan,
the glasses. Yeah. I like him.
Yeah, Scanlan's brilliant.
He's 2 lines in the whole entire film as well. So we're in the yard, effectively, and we kind of get an indication of what Jack Nicholson has in mind. Well, what I think that Jack Nicholson had in mind was escape. But then we realised that not really. So we see the bus outside, and this is an indication that he's obviously going to try and steal the bus and escape, right? And escape and leave both prison and the mental institution. But no. And I will get to it later, but I feel like more and more that he actually is a little bit mental. Like proper, like he probably needed that lobotomy a little bit, maybe.
Well,
maybe not both of them. Not both of them, just one of them a little bit.
You find out that he essentially, imagine going into a place and thinking, why the fuck am I here? Because he says it through the whole movie. Why, like to Chief, why the fuck are we in here? And turns out that he's the only mental fucker in there.
Well,
like, they're all, yeah. And your man Banzini, but even people like Banzini, the fucking guy who was, I'm so tired. I'm so tired.
Mancini! Come on, Mancini.
Where the shit are you going, Mancini?
I think the most movement that you get out of him is at the end when he's trying to pour himself a drink and he doesn't even get to do that.
Brilliant. It's fucking great.
So he's standing there with the chief, and the chief is looking out basically, and there's a little bit of rubbish that rolls past, and a little tear rolls down his eye.
Oh, of course there's.
Now, can I just say, it's at this point now I started to think, okay, is this where we get the McMurphy redemption arc beginning? Is this where we start to see this arrogant asshole who has done these horrible things? Is this where we start to go, oh, okay, he's getting through to this guy who obviously has issues.
He's a bunny at heart. He's just like a
this kind of thing. Yeah, you kind of think maybe he's becoming friends with this guy who nobody else has been able to get through to. Mm-hmm. Maybe this is going to be the redemption arc.
Yeah. No,
that's where I am.
Yeah.
Okay, we're seeing where that goes.
Yeah.
So yeah, he has a little bit of a chat with the chief. And then he tries to encourage him to play a little bit of basketball.
A little b-ball.
A b-ball on the side court. I've never played.
Clearly.
You never played basketball.
I am a white man, and I should never. I don't know.
It's a short white man.
I'm also short.
Say you're a white man can't jump, Jamie.
No, white man can't jump. Woody Harrelson told us that. I'm glad he did. I didn't even try and attempt.
Woody Harrelson, a black man and white man's skin.
Right? And his dad killed JFK. Who knew? So they teach. Well, it feels like he's trying to teach him how to play ball. So he tells him to lift your hands up, Chief. Lift them up in the air. And one of the orderlies, he's like, again, reiterates the point that, yeah, he cannot hear you, and there's really no point. We've clearly tried this, but well, no, it feels like they haven't tried it at all, and they got him in and went, hey, this guy can't speak, and they just went, all right. I love the orderlies in this.
Yeah, but like, what I love about them is, through the whole movie, you're like, they just seem like they want to smack, like, you get the feeling, because there's never dialogue to it, but you get the smack, like, he wants to fucking hit McMurphy, they're like, I want to fucking smack you. But obviously then it does get to the part where he says to him, fucking try it. Go on, try it. Give me a reason to hit you.
Yeah. But I like their interaction. I like they're not just two-dimensional characters that are just like, oh, these are the guards or whatever. And they don't have too much involvement as well. Like I like how kind of removed they are from the main story, but they're still memorable characters.
But I don't think any of the characters in there are two-dimensional. I think anybody who you've seen in this movie, you'll remember. Like even from the early.
The assistant nurse.
She's not a character. She goes ah, and that's about it.
But yeah, exactly. She has no development to her. So
just fair enough. That's a bit nitpicky now. Come on. Okay. Give the movie some props, Darren.
No, I'm just saying. Darren said everybody has development. I would just say no.
Well, this girl did.
That guy in the wheelchair that he turns around and he goes, "Come on, vote!" That guy.
Fuck's sake.
He kind of looks like
everybody.
We'll come to that guy, but I think he kind of looks like he shot his family up. He kind of looks like that kind of a guy. You know, the guy in the wheelchair. And then we get a creepy picture of the perfectly fine doing her job Nurse Ratched. She's like obviously trying to do her job, looking out the window. Like they don't see. Here's points where I would have liked a typical 1970s zoom in, a really fast zoom in. You know when they have like an establishing shot and then they just zoom in the 70s and it goes right into her face, like really uncomfortably, and you're like, oh, that doesn't happen.
That would have made her really. That would have like made her a villain in it. When I don't think they were
she
trying
was meant to be.
I don't know. I don't think. I think they were trying to obviously make her the villain because she is the villain of it. Like clearly, but I mean, you can get your own interpretations with that. But I mean, I think they would have done it if they had have done that big zoom shot in. As cool as it would have been, I think it would have done it too early.
No, because like this is the part because during the meeting she was meant to be the bitch then. She was meant to be like I feel like she was like goading Harding, but it's like, oh, why do you think your wife didn't meet your mental challenge? But I genuinely think that was a good thing to say because he does look a bit up himself, Harding. It's not like she was trying to put him down by saying
fancy words.
Oh, people can't live up to your expectations. You know, these kind of things. She didn't go down the route of taking jobs. So, but it's in the cultural lexicon of Nurse Ratched being an absolute bitch, like comparable to Kathy Bates.
Yeah,
I feel.
Okay, you know what? Look, I didn't find her that much. Of course, I probably didn't look too far into it now.
No, but that's what I'm saying, Darren, is that we agree, I think we all agree, that she doesn't come off as this evil serpentine woman, but that's the way the film wants you to see her. And I feel like that's the way during the 70s, that's the way she was meant to be seen.
I wonder, is it a carryover from the book?
That's what I'm thinking. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Because the book, she's...
across in the movie alone.
Yeah. But did you read the book?
She got an Oscar for this. She got it. Do you say she got an Oscar?
I don't understand that either.
Yeah, but
to be honest.
No, great character. But I feel like the point that they were trying to go for, it was lost. She has resting bitch face.
Yeah,
that's her
it.
job.
She won an Oscar for resting bitch face.
I hate you. She gets strangled. She legitimately had a reason to be angry. So
what I think was the fact that the movie was so good as a whole, and obviously she was up for it because they picked, like I'd say, because Jack Nicholson must have been up for. Was he up for Best Actor for this movie?
But like Taxi Driver those Oscars as well.
Well, I'm going to take a little critic's bathroom break, and I'll be back in a minute. I mean, a huge critic, massive.
Yeah, look, do I think she should have won an Oscar for this? Maybe not. Like she done a lot of other stuff that was pretty good, but then again, I'm not a massive fan of her work. Like I would have said Jack Nicholson. I wouldn't even say Jack Nicholson deserved an Oscar for this because that would have been just too fucking. I don't know. I don't think.
I agree. I think Jack Nicholson's performance is really good, and I really enjoyed his performance.
Yeah.
Like I didn't enjoy the character or the movie, but I can definitely appreciate his performance in it.
Yeah.
For her, she was really, really good, and she played the part really well, and she was like the straight character in it. But I don't think there was anything amazing about her performance that was like Oscar standout worthy. Like.
Yeah, but Jerry, listen. To be honest, what the Oscar. I never thought the Oscars since Sidney Poitier fucking won an Oscar. I don't think they've been up to standard now. They've picked some. Look, let's just say what we're thinking. The fact that Leonardo DiCaprio took that fucking long. And he got an Oscar.
I got it for Revenant, of all things.
He didn't deserve it for the thing he got it from, and he should have gotten it years ago. Yeah. It's like it's a runner-up award. It's like we found this in the back, Leo.
It's an overdue. Al Pacino got an overdue Oscar as well. Like, you know.
They gave it to him just because if we don't, because it was becoming a thing, it was becoming a meme, it was becoming all over the internet. If he doesn't get it now, we're gonna fucking riot. But no one would have rioted. Like, he deserved the fucking Oscar. Like, that.
Yeah, but I don't think any movie that I've even heard about in the last 10 years deserves an Oscar. Full stop. But that's just, you know, me.
Leonardo DiCaprio deserved a fucking Oscar for 90% of his movies. He's a fucking outstanding actor.
Wolf from Wall Street, he deserved it for, but like even he should have been nominated for it in that.
Well, what's Eating Gilbert Grape?
Basketball Diaries. Like, him as a young actor, he was outstanding. But anyway, we digress.
Yes.
We're talking about Leonardo DiCaprio instead of talking about the tired guy. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. I'm tired. I feel like this, like after 12 o'clock in a day, I've had a big lunch. That's my feels right there. Yeah. Oh no, wait, sorry. Oh, I heard a thing the other day. This is what kids say. Mood. So that guy, big that's mood. That's my big mood right there, guys. I'm so tired. Am I in with the kids now?
You're so cool.
So is this where he's still playing basketball?
So we're still playing basketball, basically.
Yeah, but I found it very funny when Mancini's so tired and he goes over to him. He's like, "Ben, yeah, you look okay. You look good." And he just climbs up on his shoulders like a fucking tree. I'm like, what a fucking legend.
But he still keeps walking around. He's like, I'm tired. I'm like, what happened to that man?
He says to the chief, jump. Put the ball in, chief. Fucking sink that bastard. Sink that son of a bitch. And your man is jumping with him on his shoulders.
Jump.
Oh, it's brilliant.
So then after the I like the basketball scenes are in it so often, and there's so many tall people in this as well. You can take advantage of it.
It's all done like a real fucking thing, because it's not shot in too many places. It's shot in it's only shot. I think there's only 4 areas in the whole movie that they show.
Except for the sea part, except for when they go out, like basically, yeah.
Yeah. I don't like that scene at all. That's forever. That's my worst scene. I have a fondness, but I've never been fishing. Maybe that's the reason I like it. No, I just fast forward. I understand the reason for the scene, but I'm like, it's just taken away from the acting. That's all I have to say about that.
Sorry, I'm just showing off my bottle of Jameson to everybody that's watching. And look at my whiskey rocks. They're not ice, they're rocks. Get my rocks off tonight, guys. So
yeah, that's what I was waiting for.
Yeah, there you go. You know me too well, Darren. So we get to the point where we're now introduced back in, and we're having a bit of a conflict creation effectively between Nurse Ratched and McMurphy effectively. She's playing really loud music. They're trying to play some cards, and he basically just hops the gate and tries to get in behind the nurse's station to turn the music down. Again, I feel like he's in this kind of prison attitude. He's just like, but again, like
these are my favorite scenes in the whole thing.
Yeah,
where they're playing cards, and it's a little conversation that they're having where your man is like, I bet a nickel. You can't bet a nickel. The fucking thing's a dime, and your man Danny DeVito.
Oh, he starts splitting the cigarettes.
Yeah, you can't like your man behind him starts pinching him. It's like that's saying it must have been because they were really close. Like the camera was like right up in their faces, and like they only had like it was filmed around a small table, like so it must have been cramped in there. But like Danny DeVito must have been the most irritating bastard in that fucking show.
Yeah.
I swear to God.
I can tell that he was getting a lot of pleasure from like pissing people off.
Of course he was.
And Christopher Lloyd as well. He feels like he's a good job of pissing people off.
But even as I said to you, like at that scene where your man is like, no, it's my turn. And Christopher Lloyd just out of nowhere fucking screams at him, shut up! I'm like, okay, calm yourself down now. Relax yourself.
But again, you have those fantastic outbursts from all the characters. But like, this is the thing. They're all so individual. They don't all seem so erratic. And it's like they're trying to copy each other. I'm mental. Haha, I'm shouting. They all have their weird tropes.
Individualities, fucking.
It is.
Do you know what? It's gonna sound very strange when I say this, but they're real people. Like, these characters are real fucking people.
Here's
like,
the difference, Darren. And I think maybe this is just my opinion down in my little corner down here, but you know why this film would seem probably very two-dimensional nowadays is because you'd have to have your person with okay, forgetting the fact that it's in a mental institute, but I'm just saying you'd have to have your mental person with autism. You'd have to have here's a disabled person here. Let's look into the most exotic 0.0001% of people with this specific disease or mental aberration and put them in. And that's why they're so two-dimensional. These people actually probably went out of their way personally to research whatever illness they have. It's never even mentioned what illness they have. A lot of it seems very personal, like a personal illness. You can't just stick it in a book and there's no definition.
Yeah, I don't go back to Leonardo DiCaprio again, but when he did What's Eating Gilbert Grape, I know that he was young. He was like a teenager, I think. But he went and spent like months hanging out with a kid who was disabled or whatever. I can't even remember what.
He spent nearly a year, in like sort of a hospitalized area with like kids with autism and kids with Down syndrome.
Hanging out and just like learning how they acted and how they reacted. So I wonder if these guys kind of do a similar thing of just like.
But do these guys have, like? But they're saying, do these guys actually have anything wrong with them? Because they're all there by their own.
See, this is the thing, Darren. This is the best part of it. I think the fact that they leave it ambiguous leaves it open to interpretation. And again, there's no self-implied like, oh, this guy has this disease or this guy is because and they don't even give you the backstory. Like, why is Martini so fucked up like that? Like, what's wrong with that guy? They're all self-committed.
But when he says things like, you see the scene where Martini's like, I'm not a child, I want my cigarettes. And
no, that's not Martini, that's Cheswick.
Oh, sorry, no, Martini is, Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
But like, that I know, can say that doesn't seem like a mental, like, look, obviously Danny DeVito went and probably did his research. I'm not saying he didn't. Christopher Lloyd especially doesn't seem like there's nothing wrong with that.
Here's the thing. Doesn't he look like someone that would start fires because he enjoys looking at fires? You know, that kind of a way. You can imply this. You're like, if I seen him in a dark alleyway, I'm like, okay, what the fuck's that guy doing? And they give it off so well. It's like Christopher Lloyd can play a scientist in a lab coat and then hunch his shoulders forward and do a bit of a face. And it's like, okay, he's literally a mental patient. You know, that's a great actor. And again,
I think you just had to kind of take for what it was back then. Like, that's what I love about back then. There wasn't questions asked when there didn't need to be questions asked. Now everything is a fucking question. Everything is like, oh, but why did he? What? Like you just said, what disability did he have, and why did he have, and what? Like,
oh, they didn't do it right, or I didn't see it right, and this is it. But this
fucking movie for the actors that they are and what they did. Like, there's no like explanation. Too much explanation would ruin a movie like this. I know
Well, even as we go on through the movie, we'll see that the vagueness actually adds to it. We have the part where it kind of actually turns up that Jack Nicholson is trying to contribute. So he's obviously trying to fit in a little bit. And he goes around to the window and he's like, do you think it might be possible to turn that music down? And I don't think that was in any way an option. I think it was like, this is the part where it was like, oh, well, it would affect everybody. You know, the old men in the place enjoy listening to the music. And it's like blaring loud.
And this is a scene where, again, you see Ratched as like, you know, she's not a villain. She's she's denying him, but she's just being diplomatic, really.
She's being fair. She is actually being fair. Well, she's like a little bit, so there's parts where I'm like, she could have gone, okay, like, I'll turn it down a bit, but it's not like she's evil. Like, there's exactly. Like, we'll agree to disagree kind of a thing.
I mean, put yourself in her shoes. You're running anything. Say you're any kind of manager. This fucking upstart comes in and starts, you know, shaking up everybody, upsetting the routine, making everybody go wild and being a bad influence on people who are otherwise just plodding along, getting on with their day. Everything was fine until this shithead shows up. Like,
I feel like that opinion was bubbling up.
For anything, you're not getting it. Like, you know, until you calm the fuck down, you're getting nothing from me. No leeway.
Like, that's what I'm saying. I think a lot of people who have, because she's such an iconic character, I don't know why, I don't understand it, but she's an iconic character and she's made her way into being an iconic character. So much that she's actually an iconic villain, which is fucking weird. Yeah. But like, I think that people who haven't seen this are going into, obviously with the whole like Ratchet TV show now, yes. And it's giving her a more backstory. Now you're going into it thinking that she's a fucking,
which was me,
evil demon.
You know what? Let me be the devil's feminist over here and just say it's because she's a woman.
I would agree, but probably not for the same reasons.
Of course you would, Derry.
I mean,
you're a woman.
I'm going to point the other way, Jay.
No, this is the way. Oh, no, sorry. On my screen, this is the right way.
Oh.
So,
you want to say like hormonal, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, no, yeah, sorry. She's on her period or one of those things.
That's what you said about
Didn't I say last week?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe she was on. She was a little bit sad. Maybe she was just on her time at the
I would say she is boss bitch. She's a woman in a man's world. And if she shows any bit of a crack, then she's going to get eaten alive.
I think she.
No, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
I agree.
No, but of course, because I'm a man. No, but I don't. She's invited into the meeting with all of the doctors. There's a point to be made, like at the time as well. She isn't subjugated to a man's will. Like the
I'm
doctor
not
never
necessarily on about her peers or the doctors or whatever, but she is surrounded by men.
I believe it's a thing about
no, but we can get back to the point where that's a men's. Like at the time, you wouldn't have gotten men in that role anyway. They're doctors and they're nurses.
No, I'm not. No, but I'm on about she is overseeing a ward full of men.
Yeah,
who could overpower her at any time. She needs to show them boss.
That's what
again.
Yeah, but I think that she is the head nurse or whatever. Head nurse, isn't it? Yeah, she has to show
matron.
Yeah, the head matron. Whatever. Back then, I think even in 1970, whatever, you would have had to stand. She's trying to stand her ground the whole movie with him, and she's trying to show him. That's why when he's like, "I want this turned on right fucking now," and he goes off.
Yeah.
And she doesn't lose the head. She calmly closes the glass, close up, and she doesn't even look at him. She looks at him for a second and then turns on the music to show him, it's my fucking ward, not yours.
And that's what I'm saying. They could overpower her. Any one of those, even the most craziest of men in that room, could overpower her at any time. And so, she is like that because she's a woman, because she has to show that she's stronger than them.
It's about this is what's going on.
I think this movie is so subjective nowadays because in the 70s, if a woman acted like that,
get back in the kitchen.
It's like that's the thing. That's like, I don't want to bring it too far, but what I'm saying is like, if a man had a woman speaking to him like that in the 70s, the majority of men in that situation, it's not that they would say get back in the kitchen, but it's like, you don't speak to me like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I am the breadwinner or whatever. Like, you're not in authority. Like, you're a nurse.
Yeah, and
like, it's still that attitude.
With her is that's why she is.
But I think this is a woman redeeming movie for us people in the modern times where we're like, actually, she didn't even lose the plot. She turned around and went, I'm standing my ground. I'm not even angry. It's like,
that's how I saw her. That's how I read her
resting bitch face.
Yeah, that's how I read her character.
Yeah,
and I think if you took that performance and put it into a modern movie, no one would bat an eyelid.
Nope. I think people would actually say she's not feminist enough. She should have stabbed him in the face.
Yeah, but you look at it. You look at movies nowadays, and nothing against women, but it's woman dominated now. They built a whole fucking show around this character. Like Disney now is fucking women. It's like Star Wars has become a woman's universe now. Like I tell you, and fucking you look at Marvel now. Marvel have Captain Marvel. They have She-Hulk coming out. They have Haley Steinfeld as a.
But you know what, Darren? And I'm going to digress for a small bit, and then we should probably get back. But I will say, but they're playing to the market of that women also want to watch comic movies and also want to see themselves in comic movies, and that's all I'll say on that.
No, I don't think women want to see themselves in comic movies, though, as much as men.
I don't know what the story is. I would have never, ever, like, because what makes me laugh is when they turn around and they say, like, I heard someone say ages ago, there's never been a strong female character in Star Wars. I'm like, well, you've clearly never watched Star Wars before, because have you heard of a character called Princess Leia?
Yeah.
Have
You've clearly never watched Alien.
Like, I don't know. I don't understand when people turn around and say there's never been strong female characters. There's always been fucking strong female characters. Barbarella. Fucking come on now, will you?
Hey there, Barbarella. Oh yeah, she's been a very strong female character, a very big influence on my teenage years.
From the
no, it's not.
What I'm saying,
she was a sexy vampire.
That's not a fucking.
In a strong way. Sexy.
Okay, strong.
Okay, let's. I'm cutting the conversation.
Because this. Yeah.
No, when we start talking about Barbarella, I'm gonna have to end it there. I'm getting too aroused. So, continuing on. But this scene makes it very relevant. God almighty, she's got you guys covered and going. It's like, she's got a thumb all over you. You haven't even, like, fucking thrown your weight around yourself. It's like she's gotten you whipped, basically. But we then get in...
He goes over to your fella. What's his name? The guy from the Hills of Eyes? Harry or Barry something? But he walks in. He asks everyone for like put your hand up. You want to watch this? You want to watch the game? He goes over to your man, the really old guy, and says, "You remember the banner? You remember? Be good Americans, guys." And he walks over to the guy from Hills of Eyes, and he just looks at him and says, "I'll leave you alone."
But that's a little bit later. But I love that guy's face. Like, imagine being an actor, and it's like, yeah, you just look weird. Yeah, you get in here.
That's why he had got parts, and he knows that himself, and he gets paid very well for that.
Well, this is the part with the voting. And I feel like she's going back to your man Harding again about the wife a little bit too much. She's just like, yeah, let's talk about your wife again. And Jack Nicholson doesn't want to talk about Harding's wife. He wants to talk about the World Series. Funny fact, it's named after the newspaper, not the World.
Ah.
What do you mean?
There you go.
What do you mean?
The World Series.
The World Series named after a newspaper.
Yeah, it's not named after. In any Americans out there, it's a common trope in Europe, in Ireland, Europe.
Or as the Americans
say, "Oh, those Americans." What? Ireland.
Ireland. They all say any person I've ever talked to or any person I've ever watched it says, I watch these things on YouTube called "We're eating Irish snacks," and they always say, "We're eating snacks from Ireland." It's Ireland.
God, we do a lot of dunking on Americans in this show, don't we?
Yes, you do.
Sorry, America. Dunkin' Donuts. I like you. But what was I talking about again?
Yeah, she's I don't know what movie.
World Series. That was it. He's talking about the World Series. It's about a newspaper anyway. Just yeah. That's my tidbit, Darren, as you know, the research buddy.
Okay, dude. Go ahead.
So this is the conflict that I think that is meant to be built up throughout the whole entire film, is the fact that Jack Nicholson actually wants to watch a baseball game and Nurse Ratchet's like, you're in a mental institute and nobody else probably cares about watching a baseball game.
Given the option, she does take the vote. So again, like, I'm after seeing a whole new side of this where she like she's not being unreasonable. She does say, but then again, she does do the thing where she's very misleading and says, we need a vote. But she doesn't mention that, like, she needs... Well, she does say the majority, doesn't she?
Here's the thing. I think at this point she thinks, okay, he's just a troublemaker. He'll never get anybody in this group to agree. So, whatever. And then when he actually does manage to get them all, which is surprising to her, she's like, okay, need a backup plan. Actually, what I meant was, and again, it's not unreasonable, she's dealing with people that are a little bit mentally touched to the point where they probably don't know a lot either. And he's the only sane or mentally stable person. I guess he's not even that, but mentally consistent, I guess.
Yeah.
So he doesn't get the vote, basically. I think a few people vote and nobody else gives a real crap. I think a few people are excited about it.
That's what I like about it. I love the fact that your man Harding doesn't ever put up his hand.
No.
Like who I forgot that didn't put, like Billy didn't put up his hand. Mm-mm. And like Cheswick, no. Yeah, Cheswick's been there from the start. He was.
I think he was doing it. Or I think the guy. I think Christopher Lloyd maybe just went like that or whatever.
He did put up his hand, but he put it up only barely, and then he was like he left it there. But sorry, a lot of people didn't put up their hands, which I was like Billy especially because Billy's trying to be his little friend, and I was like, oh for fuck's sake, you didn't actually back him up. Holy shit, like.
Yeah, but it turns out that like at the end, these people are actually a little bit probably in need of help, and them voting actually means nothing, you know, and that's why Nurse Ratched probably realized that okay, maybe, you know, because at the end Billy gives him up, he doesn't give a shit. So they're all playing Monopoly.
I think that they're scared of her, and she realized at that moment that when they are not voting, she's looking around to see who the fuck still has because it is a kind of a fear of her, because you heard Harding when he's like. And he keeps saying to her when the whole thing with the fag goes around, he's like, I'm sorry, I didn't realize, sorry. She's like, it's okay.
But by the way, sorry, to Americans, fag means cigarette.
Oh yeah, oh fuck's sake. But
I'm only messing with you there.
Cigarette.
You know, like,
she has a lot of fear built up. Obviously because she's doing things like.
But legally, I don't feel the fear. I don't feel the fear. I don't feel the tension in anybody. Nobody's afraid of her at all.
No. Oh, I think the fact that she's holding the cigarette, she's withholding things, and she's
no, but that's only after a point,
and that seems fairly reasonable.
So we'll get to that part. So Jack Nicholson bummed out that he lost the vote, and then he starts spraying people with a load of water for no reason. Because he's just being a sore loser, effectively. And then he's like...
The fact that Danny DeVito is just annoying the shit at people again by, like, putting houses in your masses. You don't have... But then he's like this, to me, I know I said the other part.
Hotel.
This part, the singular part in this is my favourite part in the whole movie, where your man's like, play the game, Harding, play the game. I am playing the game. What the fuck? Play it. Stop the bullshit.
Play the game.
What about
you? Play the games. Don't touch me! If you touch me again, play the game. Play the game. You're only going to touch me.
Play the game, Harding. Play the game. But your man keeps poking, and then like Dan DeVito's like all of a sudden it just cuts down DeVito. He just eats the fucking dice. I was laughing. I was like, that's fucking brilliant.
But again, I feel like it's all ad-libbed. It's like they're literally just doing it. But that means that the actors know their characters so well that they could just be in that character at that time, in the costume, on the set, and fuck around with each other and be like, that's a great scene.
But you know that nothing, like, this little thing for me, it doesn't look like it looks like it's manic with a purpose. It looks like everyone done something specifically for a certain, like, it doesn't look like everyone's going, fucking mental. It just looks like they all did, obviously did a camera wipe stuff, and like, but I feel like everyone did a little something to make that little special. Like Dan DeVito he must have known when someone was going to fucking film eating a fucking dice, you know what I mean?
But you know what? I actually feel like this does justice to the mental health issue. Though you could literally take any quote out aside of this and say, oh, how that's horrible. Why would you call people, especially later on with Jack Nicholson? I think this does a lot to show that there's a massive human side to that side of people as well. You know, obviously it's hinted at, and that's what I like. It actually, it wants you to pull that thread. But the story is also carried on, and you're more engrossed in the story at the time. But like I said, Danny DeVito doing small little things. He's in his character.
Are you okay?
No, I was just about to say, he's in his character when he's like eating the dice, and that's just him.
Well, if you watch the thing that I'm on about, when he gets the award for the BAFTA, like, you have to see the acting, like, from these lads. These lads aren't even talking it, but Danny DeVito just comes up beside your man and starts, like, picking at the glass that he broke. It's fucking brilliant.
Oh, Darren, you know what? You should find the link. We'll stick it up next time. It'll be on our Twitter, everybody. We'll put up the link on our Twitter with that video. So you have to subscribe to our Twitter to be informed about these things.
Yeah.
That's just one thing that we do all the time.
You get a naked picture, Jamie.
Just a little naked picture. I mean, it's huge. Massive. It's so big, it's 16:10. widescreen.
He's 2 inches from the ground.
2 inches. Oh, that's my man. So Jack Nicholson wants to go downtown and actually watch the World Series, which nobody really wants to do, and they probably don't give a shit. Most of them haven't even watched baseball, it seems. Not football. Jack Nicholson then goes, I'm going to put this water cooler, or this little water fountain, through the window. And he tries, and he gives it a good tugging, but he fails badly.
And it looks like he's putting his fucking back it. Like, he literally tried this. Like, they made a bet on set. Jack said, I'll be able to. Like, they obviously had it's a fucking bit in whatever hospital it is. It's a fucking water fountain. And Jack said, your man, like, they read the script, and Jack said, I guarantee I can move that. I guarantee I can move the water fountain. And he's one of the lads, whoever it is, and thing said to him, I bet you can't.
Yeah, well, $25.
But you look at Jack Nicholson, if you ever watch that scene again, you see how hard he's trying to move that fucking thing. Like,
well, in fairness, his expression is pretty bad. Like, he's actually, you can hear, but he's defeated.
Yeah.
He's defeated. And then we get back to the next day, where it's now on to Billy's issues, effectively. His love life. Yeah?
This does my, you know.
So I find, who didn't he tell? Because she's like saying, like, you didn't tell her. It's like, you didn't tell your mother, or you didn't tell the girl that you tried to propose to.
Yeah, he's terrified of upsetting his mother. He's terrified of letting his mother down. Obviously, find it at the very end of it. But it's like, it's not the first time he tried to commit suicide. Like, I don't know what it was. That line is such a cutthroat. Sorry, pardon the expression, cutthroat fucking line. That you see, yeah, but then you see it's even made more of an impact by the fact that Jack Nicholson it hasn't been looking the whole time. But when he says that, he's like, oh fuck. That's when he says to Billy later, Billy, for fuck's sake, you must be committed. You know what I mean? That's through all the conversations in the movie, that's the one that really fucking struck me. Like, because obviously I like Billy, and I was like, I felt really fucking bad for him.
He did a really good job of that character, I think, with the stutter and everything. You know, it wasn't too grating. You know, when you're watching the film, someone with a stutter is just like, come on. But it made you a little bit empathetic, but not too much. It didn't actually way too heavy. You weren't feeling empathetic because he had a stutter. You were thinking, why does he have the stutter? You know, it's like a next layer basically on it. This is the resting bitch face. This is the resting bitch face that Nurse Ratched has, and I'm like, you know, she's just stern. She's just a stern lady. We get Cheswick then defending Billy again, and he feels like the antagonist. He's just like, why are you pressing him? I mean, like, if he doesn't want to answer it.
This is the really human part of Cheswick. When like this, what I'm saying to you, he doesn't seem there's anything wrong with him. But he's almost scared to say. He's like, why do you keep pressing him? Can we not just move on to new business? If you know, this is the part where I'm like, he actually sounds like a normal. Sorry, sounds like a normal person.
A normal person. Whoop whoop whoop.
Well, like, no.
I'm triggered, Darren. I'm very triggered right now.
He sees that Billy is like obviously fucking, you know, like uncomfortable talking about it. And he just wants to obviously try to get like it's the more human side of Cheswick, you know. I mean, not the.
This is the only part where I feel like Nurse Ratched is a bit mean, and this is like the worst part of Miss Ratched. I feel like, again, if they wanted to make me hate her, she should have doubled down here and now. Okay, led me into a false sense of security up until this point.
God, yeah.
But she was just like, why didn't you tell your mom? Like, you obviously tried to commit suicide. Like, why didn't you let her know about this? Like, why weren't you informing your parents? Why are these bad things to be saying? Why is she a bad woman?
I wonder, because you find out later that she's friends with Billy's mother. So I wonder, is she just harder on him?
But this
exactly.
She doesn't. Well, she turned around and says, as well as that, which
I'm going to go off to the bathroom again.
Isn't this the first time you committed suicide? Is this the first time you tried to commit suicide? Like, implying that he's done it before?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So she's been here. She's been a bitch. Like here, she's been like she shouldn't have said that before. I don't think as a character you
I
would
don't know,
say
because
that.
I'm looking at these meetings and I'm thinking that is the whole point of these meetings, is to open your soul and try and get to the root cause through group therapy. I mean, you're not going to have therapy without talking about the shit that you've been through. So I don't. Again, I'm on Ratchet's side here. Like, if you're in group therapy, you got to talk about your shit. Like,
Yeah, but I don't think I think in group therapy. I don't know if you've ever been to actually like any kind of. Have you ever been to therapy, Derry? I have. I've been to it. I've done my share. I think group therapy would be a different thing than talking about that. I think that would be something for a one-on-one session.
See, I think group therapy, again, I'd hate to compare modern days and apply our modern thoughts on top of an older film. Like, again, it's nearly 50 years old, 45 years old. But I feel like that is a common thing back in the 70s, where you're kind of talking about it openly and you're trying to help other people. It's more social, where you wouldn't really do that nowadays because, GDPR and all that bollocks. So
that's it. You have to look at it as a product of its time in that sense as well.
And again, it's not like she's being unfair. She, like Derry said, she is trying to bring out these aspects of people that are uncomfortable, but she's not doing it in a mean way. She's not turned around like I said.
To bring it out.
With Harding, she could have been like, why do you expect people to live up to your expectations? Why do you feel smarter than people? Like, can't you just be happy with your wife? Like, why do you think that everybody wants her? Why, these kind of things. In this aspect, she could have been like an asshole and turned around and went, well, why did you have to, hide these things? Why were you hiding things from your mother? She didn't go down that route. It's like, why didn't you just be open with her?
She went down that route because she was like, she mentioned that. She was like, she didn't have to mention that, but she did. Obviously, that's why Billy shut down.
That's why he went into. That's why he committed suicide, or tried to commit suicide, because he didn't get his way. He's being a child, and you realise that he is a child. He's like he hasn't grown up.
Yeah, but isn't saying that. That's my point.
But Cheswick is trying to stand up basically for Billy, and but also putting in like he kind of goes into a side conversation saying, but I would have watched the World Series. Why I've never seen a baseball game before.
I think what he's doing is he tries to help Billy out, but then when he realizes it's coming back on him, he tries to shift it to McMurphy.
That's a good thing, yeah. Maybe he's trying to divert the conversation, going, hey, let's talk about a more inflammatory thing.
When she says the very start of it, she says to him, do you want to start the conversation? He goes,
no. Yes. So we get a second vote. So this is like also sorry the political second here. Jamie's political moment.
Oh.
And I wish I should have set up a whole scene for this where I zoom in on me like Jerry's moment. I walk over to a chair over there. Jamie's political moment. So this is why democracy doesn't work. I'm just saying, if you can influence people that easily by just looking at them, I was just thinking like, this is that's the state of politics nowadays. You're just running around a mental institution trying to make people raise their hands. Well, anyway,
or you could look at it the other way and go, if you're that influenced by things, you should be in a mental institute.
Oh, Derry's political moment. Oh, so McMurphy starts running around, and this is the guy that looks like he definitely murdered his family. He put a bullet in their brain and then ran and just sat on the porch. Did you ever see that Cops episode? It's like just a man sitting on his porch and it's like, oh my god, we can't do it. So we get back to the man that's tired. I love this guy. He's like, what do you say, pal? I'm tired. I'm just so tired. He's like, raise your hand.
Oh, okay.
I'm just so tired. And then he's basically encouraging everybody to raise their hand up. And then stunned, he couldn't get a bunch of people that couldn't even participate in a sit-down discussion to raise their... Even the man that couldn't talk sat down.
But it makes
Scandalous.
me what's along this. I love Jack Nicholson's progression and how high and how hot he's fucking getting. He's like, do one of you fucking nutcases know what the fuck I'm talking about?
Now, this is where it gets into, like, again, I feel like this is a point where Nurse Ratched was meant to be a bitch, but she turns around and is like, oh God, Darren is dead!
No, not. What happened?
No, your camera is looking the opposite way.
Oh, it tipped off. It's sorry.
Oh, there. Ah, you're back! So this is a part where I think Nurse Ratched is meant to be a bitch, but then I think, no, she's just trying to end the discussion again. She's just trying to go, okay, this is wasting time. She basically turns around and says, meeting adjourned. And then Jack Nicholson's like, no. The chief manages to raise his hand. And I guess as the audience at this point, you're like, wow, he's having such a good influence on that guy. Which turns out not to be true. So he finally gets the chief to raise his hand. And he points it out to Nurse Ratched and is like, look, 10 to 8. And like throughout the whole entire film, I get this feeling like it's like a whole betting thing. That's where the democracy element comes into it. It's like, I have more numbers than you. You know, and that's like a very prison thing as well. A lot of betting. I would imagine. I've never been to prison. Officially.
Yeah.
But again, like the whole gambling aspect of it, you know, I've more numbers than you. Again, kind of a reoccurring theme in the movie. He doesn't get his way. He actually gets told to basically sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up. He's not going to get the vote that he wants. This is where I start to kind of like the character a little bit, and this is where they do hit this point. They have Jack Nicholson going, okay, fine. I won't have what you want. I'll take what I want. And instead of, like, I feel like this is where if they wanted you to make this character any hate this character anymore, they would have basically have him being like, trying to get into a scuffle. But he plays the psychological aspect of it. And, and I like the way he tries to pretend there's a baseball game going on effectively. He gets everybody involved. So he's trying to fuck with her psychologically. But she isn't actually trying to fuck with him psychologically. So now it takes like a flip. So where she was trying to run her ward perfectly fine, and there's genuinely old people there, there's genuinely people with proper mental illnesses that can harm themselves to the point of death, and she's trying to keep this all in balance, and now this guy from prison has come in and has tried to start like some sort of psychological warfare against her, and it gets worse. You know, I feel maybe we're even going into the point where Jack Nicholson is actually the protagonist. He's protaginating. He's the protagonist. He's the asshole in the film. He's the anti-hero. He's an anti-hero.
He's challenging her, and he shouldn't be. She's doing her job, but but think about it. That's like how it is in any like fucking job or anything. If you're a boss,
Darren,
and someone comes in that's like an asshole, that's nobody comes in, and you're there to look over them or to manage them or supervise them, whatever the story is, and they start being a dick to you. It's only going to be so long that you're nice to them. You know what I mean? But you're going to use your authority where you need to use your authority. You know what I mean? So she's not being like unreasonable. Obviously, as I said, till the end of it. But she has her little things that she does, like when she's pressing certain people, where she's using her power a little too much, but never too much.
Not too. But again, like what is she actually doing? Like stopping there being like she knows gambling is clearly happening in the place at this point. Like what she wants, the only person in the whole entire place that wants to watch the World Series is Jack Nicholson. And she's not being unreasonable and saying, look, there's some old people here. She should be ramping up the mental abuse at this point. Again, in the film, we're probably about 40 minutes in, an hour in, maybe. But we're not getting it. But Jack Nicholson, it's not like he's trying to make. But this is where maybe I say more anti-hero than anything else.
Yeah.
It's not like he's trying to make her job harder. It's just that he wants an easy life, and she is trying to do her job, and it's like a butting of heads.
But doesn't he say that though? He says to the lads, Give me a week, 1 week. Who wants to take a bottle? I put a bug up her arse. So he's doing it because he doesn't realize that she has control over her.
But Darren, if she did what he wanted, which up until now hasn't been a lot, wouldn't mean that he's gotten on her good side or anything. It's small little things. It's like they haven't ramped it up to the point where I'm thinking either he's a real asshole, he's just being, he just wants to do his own thing effectively, whereas she is just trying to do her job. So if they played up the button heads more, I would have been more invested by the story, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you mean button heads?
Zero tension up to this point.
So two strong characters instead of one character that is flawed and is trying to do his best in life versus an asshole, which she isn't.
Okay. I can see that. I think they did. No, I can see what you're saying. I think more we're talking about now. Jack Nicholson is coming off more of an asshole, but like he's not mentally ill. I don't think he's mentally ill. I just think, like you said, Jimmy, he does what he wants to do when he wants to do it, and obviously in society now, then you can't do that.
I think he is a little bit. I think he is a little bit mentally ill.
Aren't we all?
Aren't we all? And he says that. He does say that.
That's what we're here.
So we then get them enjoying. He's basically trying to pretend that there's a baseball game going on, and obviously he is able to encourage everybody else in the ward that there is a baseball game going on. They're all delighted that something's happening. So eventually, again, you get like Miss Ratchet's resting bitch face. It's like that every time I feel like they want her to be like, like it feels like twisting a mustache.
Yeah.
But it's like
zoom in on her.
Have you ever seen that meme of that guy that's sitting at a table who's like, and he's like a really red face and all his veins are pulsing out? Like,
yeah.
That guy. That's what she feels like in every. Yeah. It's like that meme of that guy who's sitting there like that. That's what I feel she's like. The director is basically going, okay, you're a bitch, act like a bitch. And she's like, I'm trying my hardest. And resting bitch face all the time. But that's the extent of the badness that I get from her. She's just like, why are you doing this? I'm actually just want to get home to my husband. Or like I've had a hard day. Like why do I have to come into this bullshit 9 to 5 every single day?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So we've also all worked in some sort of customer service or retail at some point in our life. So again, maybe that's the empathy coming through.
You try and do that job.
I know, right? I'm like her all day long. So we get the point where Jack Nicholson gets brought into all the doctors now. So they're all trying to obviously now they're trying to do, okay, is he actually crazy or is he not crazy? So he doesn't like her because she ain't honest, which that's not true. She is honest.
From what he's seen anyway, yeah.
Like he feels like she's being dishonest. And this is where I get the point where I'm like, okay, is it Jack Nicholson that genuinely actually has a mental illness? Like, is he paranoid? Like, is he confrontational because he just feels...
No, I think he's just like a bold child here. He didn't get what he wanted, so he's just like... She ain't like then because he gets annoyed and he's like, well, let's be honest, Doc, she's a bit of a cunt. That's just like he doesn't have a reason for her. He just say like, I didn't get what I want, so she's an asshole.
I love the part where he goes, yeah, she's a bit of a cunt, and then the doctor is like, why do you think that? It's not even going, oh my god, why did you say that? It's like, why do you think that? It's like a Dr.
Give me an
Phil.
explanation for you calling her a cunt.
Yeah. So even maybe he didn't understand what the word cunt meant. So
that's what I was thinking. When I heard him say that, because when Jack, I had forgotten most of these, And I watched it 3 times this week, but the first time I watched it, when your man said, he's a bit of a cunt. And I had to rewind it because when the doctor said to him, what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck do you want to explain by that?
So
Jesus
we
Christ.
get to the point where the doctors are basically trying to suss him out to see if he is what he is.
Yeah.
And one of the doctors asks him, have you ever heard the saying, a rolling stone gathers no moss?
Gathers any moss.
And then he goes, yeah, it's the same as don't wash your dirty wet underwear in public. Which is like, I have no idea what that means. It's some sort of a saying. I love the little Indian man.
Yeah.
The little grinning Indian man.
He's the token Indian fella.
Token Indian guy. So the next scene, I think they're again still on the fence by this stage. They're like, okay, is he crazy or is he not crazy?
First line he says in this, your man is, do you have any questions? Your man says, where do you suppose she lives?
I did have an image of that.
Oh,
it's not relevant.
It's
not relevant. I thought I'll keep that in my own safe deposit box.
Totally not relevant, but it's just I just thought it was very funny because I had those cards when I was younger.
I had to cut a lot of those type of photos to cut this down. So did I say photos? Screenshots. Old school, man. Yeah. So then we have Jack Nicholson trying to use the chief's strength to lift him up over the fence. And this is where I'm thinking, okay, he's going to escape. He's out now. Go! Run!
Yeah.
And no, he's actually not. He's going to take over a bus and take them on a day trip. Out to... Oh, no, sorry. He gets his girlfriend first. He picks up Candy. My girlfriend, Candy. And, yeah. She reminds me of your one from Greece. You know, the one with the curly hair?
Rizzo.
Rizzo.
Oh, is it Rizzo?
Yeah, I think it's Rizzo. Yeah. The mean one that smokes.
That got pregnant. And then
preggers. Oh. And then they end up at the harbour to do a little bit of fishing. And this is like, again, this isn't just arbitrary. I like the way it's a tie-in to the fish thing at the start. Yeah. I feel like the message that I'm trying to get out of it, maybe this is me working too hard on it, that people that have mental issues are no different from the people out in the street. And the fact that the dean of this hospital is able to catch a big fish, they all come back with fucking massive fish. You know, they explain during this journey that you're no different. Hey, you're a fucking fisherman now. You're not a loony. It doesn't matter. He gives this explanation as to he doesn't even believe they're even all crazy. And this is where I feel like he's the crazy one. He probably should be in a mental institution. But that's what I think that the overarching film is trying to get across, except for the obvious of the dueling personalities, that these people aren't actually crazy. This is society has caused this problem.
Well, this is where I wrote my first note on the movie, right?
First note.
I'm actually going to read it to you. Oh yeah, this was my first note. Because I just nothing.
It was just a lot of hate for Jack Nicholson up until then.
I don't know. You were probably gone. I said it to Darren. I thought Jack Nicholson was fucking outstanding in this movie.
Yeah, see, I don't like my I liked what you said there. I liked the fact that you thought Jack Nicholson was fucking outstanding, and I applaud you for saying that he's playing the character was amazing, but it's the character that I fucking yeah, but that's what I like.
So at this point, we're on the fishing boat where I started to get frustrated because he didn't escape.
Yeah.
And I checked the time on the movie, right? We're an hour into the movie, and I'm like, seriously, it's been an hour, and we're nowhere, right? What I've written is, I've learned more about the story in the first 5 minutes than I have in the last hour. And I said, this is basically just a good old boys movie set in a mental institute, so the slapstick humor can be played off as something more deep.
Oof! We're not even halfway through and you're already banging it down.
That was my initial opinion an hour through.
This is where the film goes off on a bit of a tangent, and they go on a bit of a fishing trip. I like the interaction between the fisherman and Jack Nicholson. He's like, hey, these are all the doctors. We're from the mental institute. This is Dr. Scanlon.
But they all look to the camera like, yes, I'm prestigious right now. This is, but like, they're clever. As you find out later, there's fuck all wrong with them. Well, you can pick that or not pick that. I don't know. But like, I like the fact that even Danny DeVito and Martini, who was supposed to be like fucking nuts, turns around and goes.
But they all actually get an air of distinction. They're all like, very good.
But then the man runs off.
He runs off. He's like, wait a second. You don't understand.
We chartered this boat. So
I love the guy.
We chartered it. We're going to take it. Your man's like, no, you're not going fishing on this boat. No, we chartered this boat. Fucking
Captain
amazing.
Block. Captain Block. So they go out for a fish, and you discover that it's basically just Jack Nicholson's way of, number one, pissing off everybody in the hospital, and number two, to get them all going out fishing. So he teaches them kind of how to fish. He basically says, hey, stick a hook in the eye of this one and stick it out the other end of the boat. And Billy has a little bit of a sexual encounter with your one, by the way. And he's like...
Dirty fucker.
He is a bit of a dirty fucker, to be honest with you. So they all cop off with each other. And then you find out that they all go around the front of the boat to take a little bit of a peek. So we get them spinning around. I think this is the part where he like runs out of the cabin and is like, oh, we got one. So I think this is like a confidence building moment for everybody, effectively, with the whole entire fish thing.
Yeah.
We get them obviously. So perfect time to escape. That never happens. We get the doctor scene again. And this is one of the funnier scenes in it because we got the Indian doctor. He goes, I don't think he's overly psychotic, but I think he's still quite sick.
Yeah.
He's probably one of my favorite little doctors in the whole entire thing. He's brilliant. But we find out now, this is again one of the parts where Nurse Ratched is effectively trying to come off as a bitch.
I like the fact that they show how important she is because she's in on this meeting.
Yep.
Like,
I would have nurse.
Yeah, but they actually, obviously, because he says it then, the one he's closest to is obviously the one he has a bigger problem with. That's you, Mildred.
The one he hates the most. And that's it. But like, my immediate thought on that line was that hasn't really come across. That they hate each other that much, or that he hates her that much.
My thing that doesn't come across is that she wants to keep him there to torture him, which I think is trying to be implied, but she actually makes a valid point. We don't want to pass off our problems. And it's not like that evil turn to the camera. We don't want to turn off our problems. I'll keep him here and destroy him. It's like, no, It's like she genuinely wants to try and help him, I feel.
Yes.
So
no, I don't think she wants to help him. I think the fact that he's been a fucking thorn in her side is just the fact that she doesn't want him just getting off fucking easy. She wants to leave him in this fucking hospital.
See,
that's not a premise.
You could interpret that on paper, but from the performance and the movie, I don't think that came across. I think she came across as like a nurse.
No, I think she wanted to just, because she has the power there, I think she wants him under her power. That's what I got.
This is why I feel like it comes back to times have changed, whereas like, oh, that's just a woman wanting to control a man, where nowadays we're like, no, that's just a woman trying to do her job.
Do her job.
Right? Maybe. I don't know. So we get a little bit more basketball. I know, it's so like, I feel your pain, Derry. We get a little bit more basketball. And this is where the Chief gets a little bit more confidence.
This is a brilliant scene. I love the fact that he's so rigid that when he runs to each basket, he's not really like running. He's walking, just like stretching his legs.
But that's him. That's probably a normal person running, a short person like me. So they have a game, and the orderlies are really pissed off. Basically, they're like, "The fuck! You're not allowed to do that. That's cheating. I think what does the chief do? Like hold the net and like punch the ball through the net again.
Up through, push the ball back out.
And then we get the pool scene, which is even weirder. So they're all just in a pool, and then they put a man in a wheelchair in a pool.
I was like, how the fuck is he? They have a floating device around them, or what's the story? Did they have something?
Yeah, they have a little flotation device.
Jesus Christ! But like,
so
this is what I said. But the order is like wanting to fucking punch Jack Nicholson because like a man.
This is where I lulled. I literally just went, ha.
This is the part where I was a little confused. So maybe explain this to me a little bit. It's my understanding that Jack Nicholson thinks he's going to get out in 68 days of prison, thus being able to leave the mental institute.
Yeah.
However, they said, oh no, you're not getting out in 68 days because you're committed now. We have you, not for 68 days until we think you're mentally capable of leaving. Yeah.
Because he did most of his time. What's in the book basically? He did most of his time, and he had 68 days left. But he was sent to there for the evaluation to be.
He wanted to be like, I'll just spend my last days basically in this chilled out.
He thought it would be easy, I guess. Yeah.
Right.
In his he thought, I do my last 68 days here. There'll be no fucking prison. It'll be easier than mental fucking. And your man obviously said to him then, oh no, you don't realize, you still don't know where the fuck you are. You're not getting out of here. This is totally changed. You're not getting out of here till we let you out. So
that was my favorite part.
He realizes that it's not about the time, it's about his behavior, which is the reason he got him in there fucking in the first place.
But I feel like, again, the film should have made me want to believe that he's trying to make himself insane, that he gets himself into this position. He doesn't really prop up the insane thing. He plays it cool the whole entire time, which is believable, but it doesn't end him up in this position. So he's kind of just sailed into here. You know what I mean? If he was like trying to act crazy to get a month off, and then go...
He seems to spend more time getting everybody else to act sane than getting himself to act crazy.
But that's why I think he's actually mental. He doesn't realise.
I don't think he actually truly believes he's mental. And then when the time comes when they're like, I know, when everyone else is here voluntarily, he's like, oh my God.
Well, that's basically the next scene. We go into the part where he's like sitting down, really depressed, being like, why didn't Annie?
But you can see that he's totally defeated because when he realizes that it's him, in the whole scene that goes, everyone else goes fucking nuts, and he's all calm and he's like just sitting down until Cheswick lose the fucking head.
I like the way, again, I would have liked the film to ramp up the fact that he was trying to pretend to be crazy a lot more, because at this part where he's like, why didn't any of you assholes tell me that we can't be let go? And then we get the part where Harding is like, oh no, I can go home whenever I want. I literally don't need to stay here at all. And hardly anybody does.
What did they say? I was giving shit to fucking Nurse Ratched and you fucking knew how much I had to lose.
Yeah.
No, but they obviously thought that Jack Nicholson's character, R.P. Murphy, was there like they were. They didn't know, obviously. Yeah, they didn't know.
Well, again, it's not like he mentioned anything about, like, there's no backstory to these characters, which I like in this film, because this film would have been a fucking 3.5-hour film and rather than a 2.25 film. But what I'm saying is that, like, they fleshed out the characters enough for me to be involved, but they didn't flesh out the story. Hey, nice apples, Darren.
Sorry.
Nice apples. And this is where we get to the point where the camera pans around and then you're like, hang on a second, all the people that we've been seeing all along are committed themselves? And then we get a shot of Scanlon with a wooden box, and he's just sitting there with the wooden box. It's like, even you, Scanlon? It's like no, I literally walked in here myself. So I think it's only who is it? Him and who else?
It's the guy who's dancing. And there's a guy in a wheelchair behind him. That's the only guys that are there.
No, but the chief must be as well because he wants to escape, right?
No, the chief put himself in there because of what happened to his dad.
But why does he want to escape then?
No, he doesn't think he's. big enough. He doesn't think he's strong enough.
Okay,
Right.
That's a bit shit.
He's obviously terrified that what happened to his dad is going to happen to him.
So then, hey, Jack Nicholson, you can break me out.
What I wrote down for that.
Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So, maybe it makes sense in the book. So, we then get on to everybody basically freaking out. Cheswick is wanting his cigarettes. A cigarette gets put into Christopher Lloyd's pants and he starts flipping the fuck out. And then Cheswick wants his cigarettes again, basically. He's like...
You know when he got tackled by the orderlies, whatever they're called. The first time they tackled him, we watched it back. Christopher Lloyd broke his collarbone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he broke his... Like, they went and had a hard in this fucking movie. Like, Christopher Lloyd, when he was jumping around, your man caught him. It was Christopher Lloyd's mistake because he jumped and your man caught Christopher Lloyd just before he hit because he would have hit the fucking radiator. But your man went to grab him. Whatever happened, he put his arm on he broke his collarbone. One of the orderlies, anyway, broke your man's collarbone. And that's when you see him because it was the same shot when he was being dragged off. That's why he was screaming because he broke his collarbone. Yeah, he broke his
collarbone. Good acting. Perfect. You acted like you broke your collarbone.
But that's insane. If that happened nowadays, I said that now. Leonardo DiCaprio, again, go back to him, hit the fucking table, tore his arm up.
No, there's your man in Lord of the Rings and everything broke his foot, sure.
That was years ago.
And that scream is kept in the movie. There's loads. That happens loads.
Or early 2000s, though. That's like eons ago. Before the virus.
What's Lord of the Rings, Derry?
So even though Jack Nicholson didn't really do anything wrong, Jack Nicholson did nothing wrong. He gets basically punched the fuck out because I think he goes over and punches a window in and grabs Cheswick's cigarettes and is like, "Here, take them." But
they're bringing off Cheswick and then your man pushes Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson is the first one to throw a punch. So again, he's his own worst enemy.
No, but Jack Nicholson breaks a window.
Oh yeah, but he doesn't actually there's nothing happens to Jack after that because he just gives your man the fucking fags. Their cigarettes, Jesus. And they take Cheswick off, but as they take Cheswick off, your man's like, "Look, stop, he's okay." And your man pushes Jack, but Jack punches the orderly first, and that's why your man fucking goes nuts on Jack.
So they end up basically being brought into this other bit of the wing that's clearly for the very questionably mental people. People that are probably very, very, very in need of help, shall I say. Cheswick is the first one to get taken away. He gets snatched up and gets brought into a room effectively to be helped with electric.
This is another perfect example of the acting that's in this fucking movie. Like, they go every actor in this movie goes fucking above and beyond with their performance. Yeah. Like, you see where he jumped, it was raw, because when he jumped on Jack Nicholson, when he was screaming and shouting, you see Jack Nicholson being dragged off that chair by his fucking arm, they were holding on to him. But that's what the directors said to the lads, "I want you to act like, I don't know how you could do it now, and how many actors do it now, and not a lot, as I've seen.
Do it now.
Do it. But I don't see too many actors act like that nowadays. Like that fucking you believe these guys are going to get a fucking
raw passion, actual passion.
I watched it 3 times this week, and each time I was like, I felt bad for that guy. I was like,
yep,
he's pulling, he doesn't, you believe there's something fucking wrong with him, even though you know he's an actor in a fucking scene. But that's how good it fucking is.
Well, we get a hint as to probably what's happening, but you don't really know if Cheswick is overacting or not, because you're like, okay, where are they going? And again, from maybe a modern point of view, you may not know what's happening, but in this time, in the mid 20th century, people got, well, actually, they still do today, actually, electroshock therapy, but a little bit more. Well, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. But again, it was pretty brutal back then. They basically gave you a fit. They gave you an epileptic fit. And then they lobotomized you, which again, they still do today. But again, I can't really comment on because I like my brain, even the bad parts. So we get the famous juicy fruit part now. So at this part, we've basically seen the chief not say anything and apparently not be able to hear anything. And then we get the juicy fruit.
This is the one surprise of the movie.
Yep. What do you think of that, Darren? Did you know about this part? The
no.
Juicy fruit. You didn't like it?
Well, however I felt about the movie so far, it went downhill from here.
Darren.
From this scene?
No, and I'll explain exactly why, right?
Okay, I'm going to go to the bathroom, but I still have my Bluetooth headphones.
All right, okay, well, listen.
I'm listening.
The whole time, and I said at the beginning, when he first started having this a relationship with Chief, was, maybe this is his redemption arc. Okay. So now I'm watching McMurphy and Chief and getting closer and actually interacting, and Chief is coming out of his shell, so supposedly.
Okay.
And then you find out the Chief has been faking it all along as well.
Well,
I've lost all sympathy for Chief. I've lost all interest in McMurphy's redemption arc. I have, this whole thing has just been a sham from the beginning, and I've lost it.
I just think what it was, what I got from it was the fact that the Chief obviously went in there for his own stuff that's going on, but he's never had anyone that even paid, because obviously here through the whole movie they're saying he's just a fucking dumb and deaf Indian. He don't talk, and McMurphy's the only person now saying that has been talking to him for his own fucking gain to try to get his own. He never talked to him anything but if it didn't help McMurphy.
I think that
shut up, you.
I was getting Coke for my Jameson.
Yeah,
but
I just think that McMurphy was. But when the Chief, I think it was an arc in it's fucking nice, because the Chief actually thought he was close enough to actually let McMurphy. I would say that he didn't want time and know he was deaf and dumb, and he wasn't deaf and dumb, but I think he actually just trusted McMurphy enough to talk to him, because obviously I think you would see him talking until the end of the movie. Then
I think that Jack Nicholson's character McMurphy found a lot of commonalities between himself and the Chief, and that's what I like to think about the character in and of himself. You get those very loud characters, you get those characters that are all about themselves, very narcissistic, all about the party, but at the heart of it, they actually are, mentally probably needing a lot of the time, and this stoic big Indian man. And I feel like the film for some reason emphasizes the Indianness, not the fact that it's a man stoic, but it's a man stoic. He's Indian and it's mysterious. I feel like, remember The Crow, where it was like, ooh, an Asian.
Oh no!
It's like I feel like it's like, ooh, a Native American. Yeah, like it's a faux, like, ooh, the New World. I think it's still back in those times where you had those stereotypes of, Lepretians in Ireland, the leprechauns, Tabigara.
The pebble stones and all that.
The pebble stones of Tara. But again, that's what I think. You're like, Jack Nicholson is meant to empathize with this character because he's a stoic character, and maybe that's something that he's like a bully. That maybe Jack Nicholson is like a bully character, and he feels like this strong, silent type, a little bit more appealing. But
I totally
basically, like Derry said, it is a bit of a con, and it's not like it is kind of played up. You're like, the Chief is like, yeah, I absolutely fooled them, and they decide this is where they plot the plan to go to Canada. And it's only really mentioned once effectively, but Canada is mentioned of them trying to escape. Jack Nicholson gets brought into a room, and he thinks obviously I guess it's just going to be like a stern chatting to, and no, it's not. It's not a stern chatting to at all. It's electroshock therapy, where they basically put 2 bits of cotton on your head. I didn't get the screenshot, unfortunately. It's up there. It's right up there next to the Project Lab label, right up top. Cotton swabs, they wet your face, put conductant on the side of your head, and they shock you into a seizure to fix your brain, because that makes sense. It's like turning off and on your iPhone. He has a little bit of an epileptic fit, and it isn't good. Bam, 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 bam. He then pretends, I guess at this point, that he has been... Did you think that he was actually proper... Like, I bet you were looking, what happens for the rest of the movie? Does he just walk around not saying anything?
Well, no, because at this point, all you've seen is him just causing havoc. Like, literally nothing has progressed in the story except that he's caused havoc, in my opinion. And now, at this point, like I said...
Rabble-rouser.
...by him. To the point where he walks out zombified, and I'm like, oh, thank fuck, maybe we can have some progression in the story now.
Now that the protagonist is out of the way,
maybe something's going to happen. Maybe Ratchet is... I don't know. Like, there's no tension, there's no progression, and at this point, I'm like, oh, something interesting has happened. But then I've been conned into that as well.
You've been conned. It's like a whole scam to you.
Every time I cling on to some sort of arc, that arc turns out to be fake.
Right? Actually, good point to be made, because even at the end when it's like an escape arc, they don't even do that. So the chief is like, okay.
God damn it.
Darren is yet to defend this movie. So now this is where we're getting into the flaws.
I'm defending it every which way but loose. Screw the two of you. I'm fucking doing a great job of defending it. Suck it, right?
Oh, that's my next pick for next week. Every Which Way But Loose. With Clint Eastwood and the monkey.
Oh, really?
No, it's not. God. Oh, really? Oh, a monkey!
No, I haven't seen that movie since I was a kid. Anyway,
I've never seen that movie.
Those movies mean a lot to me.
So the chief is like, oh shit, he's been fucked up and lobotomized. And no, he's fine. He's fine. He just had a little bit of an epileptic fit, and all is good.
Yeah, but don't you turn and say, Jack Nicholson says they've been giving me this many watts, 10,000 watts a day. And he has he's been there a couple of days, obviously, like fucking getting these electric shocks.
I feel like he's been there like a month or two or something like that. Like it's like, you know, that kind of a thing. Like we were talking about back in Misery, where the changing of the clothes, I just feel like that progression has already happened.
Yeah.
So Jack Nicholson obviously thinks, okay, I gotta get the fuck out of here now. They're starting to electrify me, so I gotta hatch a shitty escape plan that I don't even fulfill. So he goes over to the chief and goes, okay, I gotta get out of here. And he basically gets his two lady friends to arrive at the mental institute. And again, this is where my memory faltered, where I was thinking, does he get like people to break him out, or how does he get out? I honestly had it in my brain that he gets caught outside of the hospital. For some reason, I just thought that's the logical thing to do. So I was getting like a little bit of an anxiety pit in my stomach when he wouldn't get out the fucking window. He just sat there. And then he fell asleep. He fell asleep. So he convinces Mr. Turkle to... Actually, isn't that the name of JD's friend in... Turkleton. Turkle. Mr. Turkleton. So he basically, I love the transitions from this guy being so angry to getting paid to then having no problem with a girl being like, hey, can I take a bath? And them like being, yeah, no problem. That guy got paid off easy. So he starts suggesting that I need some sort of a physical payoff for this allowance. And he gets nothing at all. But he gets a suggestion of it, which is enough for him to carry on and let the women in and bring him into the bathroom side of the hospital. So your one is a little bit your one with the blonde hair. It feels like she's like, I thought we were going to the movies. Like, why am I here? Really innocent like looking, and creepy old black guy is like, no, I'll take care of you. It's fine. It's okay. So then, okay. So this is where the movie starts to lose me a little bit. I'm like, he starts waking up all the patients. And I'm thinking, okay, he's actually he is mental. Because a normal person would be gone. A normal person would be out the door. I've distracted the man. I'm gone. No, he wakes up everybody and wants to have a bit of a party. I don't know why. It's like, I feel like in the movie it tries to justify him building up enough rapport with them that he wants to give back to them, but I don't feel like that's happened. You know? He's not made that like charismatic connection with people, and he wants to give them a party for no reason, and that's why I think he's a little bit insane.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I don't know. I kind of got the feeling it was like a goodbye party. It was intended to sort of be a goodbye party.
But that's a bit mental. When you're trying to escape somewhere, it's a little bit mental.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So the janitor guy comes out and he's like, "What the fuck?" And then the nurse comes down, like, so he rushes them all into the one room, the little side door. They're all basically out getting pissed and everything, and it rushes them in the side door. And the nurse one comes down and he's like, yeah, no, everything's fine. What's the noise? And there's like a crash inside. And he's like, ain't nobody in the door. And he's like, open the door. And there's a woman there. And I like this. I like this part where it's like, okay, good. Pretend there's only one woman there and not a whole load of fucking lunatics inside the place. So he starts being like, I'm a very lonely old man. I'm sorry, ma'am, but it gets awful lonely. So she's like, get that woman out of here, and leaves. And then he goes, fuck it. The whole place is destroyed. He basically just suggests that, oh, you know what? I'm just going to get pissed and I don't give a shit. Which I like. I like that character basically is just wanting an easy life. So everybody in the place starts to get absolutely pissed. The two ladies have brought in like 2 big bags of drink. And it's a good old Irish session, if I do say so myself. People drinking out of tubes. Billy starts dancing with... Is she meant to be a prostitute?
I think they are. Or she is anyway, yeah.
Or
I got that feeling. I'm not sure
worker.
if it was explicitly said, but I got that feeling.
Yeah. Sex worker, right? So, Jack goes in while they're all kind of, the party's calming down after a while, and robs the janitor's keys while he's sleeping on the couch. He then tries to escape, and I'm like, yeah, go escape, Jack. And then Billy has a little bit of a conniption because Jack is leaving, and he's like, you know what, I gotta stay and let you have sex with this prostitute friend of mine, with Candy. They all capture him in a wheelchair and bring him into the room to have sex with Candy. And that's all fine. That's completely fine.
Oh, totally fine.
But then Jack Nicholson just falls asleep. And then so does the chief. They fall asleep. And I've been there. I've been there where I've been that drunk and I've woken up the next day on the floor and I've been like, oh my God. And people are like walking in the door. You know that feeling? People walking in the door and you're like, oh shit, why am I naked? I've puke everywhere. But I'm like, at that point, I'm like, how much of an asshole would you have felt? Like, I've made this big scheme to escape and I couldn't even stay awake. So, a big party erupts. They come back the next day and Nurse Ratched is there, checking to make sure that nobody has escaped. Billy is dragged out from the room. By the way, the window is still open at this point.
Yeah.
They could genuinely just get out of the window while everybody's talking. This is where you get the confrontation between Nurse Ratched and Billy being like, I'm your mother's friend, remember that. You had sex with a strumpet. I feel, again, this is like more of her traditional views rather than her being an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, what would your mother think of you sleeping with a prostitute? Yeah. So, again, resting bitch face. You know, there's a difference between Kristen Stewart's face of 100 emotions and this woman's resting bitch face. Like, this is clearly something she's tried to put on, and that's the emotion that the director has wanted to give her, but that's all they can give. You know, the character is good in a lot of ways, but very two-dimensional. She's the only two-dimensional person in it and doesn't really have any motive to be evil. So, resting bitch face, that's all we get. Now Jack Nicholson decides to start unlocking the window after they've closed it and starts to try escape. The orderlies, I love the way the orderly puts on like a leather strap on his knuckles. Remember that, Darren? Where he like sticks a leather strap.
No,
it's like he's like he's prepared.
I thought you were saying. Do you remember when we did that?
Remember Darren? You were over at my house and you put that leather strap on. You took me in your arms. Jesus Christ! I remember when I said that. So he put the leather strap on his fist.
Yeah.
In the movie. And there's a bit of a kerfuffle. But then they hear, that Latino nurse that's in it for like 2 seconds that has no parts, finds Billy dead after cutting his own neck with a shard of glass. So it's kind of thought of as like, you should be blaming the nurse at this point. And again, I'm not there. I don't blame the nurse.
Well, that's why they did it. That's why they. That's no,
but I feel like
because of everything that was happened with McMurphy, and then she's to blame because obviously what happened, not necessarily what Billy did, but she's represented as.
It's not that I don't understand it, but I just can't justify it. You know, I understand the logic, but I can't justify the action. Ooh. Oh no, I left my left ear. So
what did I miss?
No, but what I was saying is that I can't.
She says to Billy that you know, I'll have to tell your mother what you did. He's like, please don't tell her. Like, well, I've never cared about your mother. You know, I'm best friends with your mother. Yeah. He's like, oh, I killed myself because of that. He like again, it comes back to the further point at the start of where he's like, you know, you never told your mother you tried to commit suicide.
No, but this is the point where it's like Jack Nicholson shouldn't have done that in the first place. He gave a vulnerable person access to emotions that he wasn't ready for, and he explained that earlier in the film. He's like, why can't you leave, Billy? Like, you're young. Like, you should be out fucking people. He's like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. And Jack forces, not forces, but
doesn't really give him a choice.
Gives him a slipway. Says, hey, you know, why not? Fuck it. So it is like that kind of like, you actually supplied this person with the means to kind of kill them. Like, so actually, the film's intention was to make you hate Nurse Ratched in this part. But Jack Nicholson, you're like, you actually encouraged that behavior to get him into a state where he couldn't handle his own emotions.
All Ratched did was say, go sit in the doctor's office. And Billy's like, oh, but I don't want to this. Ratched's just like, go sit in the doctor's office. She never says you're going to be punished. She never says I'm going to
tell your mother and you're going to be punished.
She never says you're getting electroshock therapy. She never says any of that. She literally says, go sit in the doctor's office. That means we're going to have a little talk.
Yeah, but that was enough for her.
I don't think that you can blame Ratched for what Billy did.
No. And again, that's the point where we get to now this, where it's like Jack Nicholson tries to strangle her to death. Like, genuinely tries to kill her. To the point of being a maniac. And I was like, I can understand why someone could feel like that, but I couldn't justify that in a normal, rational person. Whereas Jack Nicholson tries to play himself off as this everyman, like, hey, everybody's mental, but no normal, rational person would do that after even an event like that, because it wasn't even built up enough. So, I think the orderlies get Jack Nicholson off, and then it's some time afterwards, and they're all playing poker now. So I like the way that they started off playing like Go Fish, and now they're playing poker. So there has been a little bit of a change in the characters, effectively. And then we get the guy saying McMurphy's escaped, and I think I like the way that this character wasn't really explained throughout the whole entire film, but I feel like he's in there because he's a pathological liar. You know, this character with the red face.
Yeah.
He's like a pathological liar, and that's why he's in there, because he makes up this flagrant tale, and then he knocked out 3 guards in the tunnel and ran away. And I kind of like that part. I'm like, oh, I like that kind of character, little bit there, little character description. But no. I think Harding says, oh no, he's meek as a lamb. And upon hearing that, the chief isn't too happy about that. So at night, the next night, it would seem, or some nights afterwards, there's some people walking in to the ward, and it's 2 orderlies accompanying a man in shadows. So you discover that it's Jack Nicholson. Unfortunately, Jack Nicholson has had some surgery to his forehead in terms of not needing these parts of his skull or brain. He's been lobotomized, and that's a bad thing. I think we would agree. JFK's sister was lobotomized.
Oh, really?
Oh, really? Yeah. There you go. There's a little tidbit for you. And he was not Irish at all.
Darren, you're very quiet.
You're very quiet, Darren.
Have we...
I think we pummeled him into submission.
No. I'm just listening.
So, Derry, how are we feeling at this point in the movie?
At this point in the movie, I am... I know earlier I was hoping... No, actually, at this point, I've been so screwed over by the plot that I actually am completely indifferent by the fact that he's had a full frontal lobotomy. To be honest. I feel nothing.
No empathy.
No empathy, nothing. I know I'm supposed to. I can tell by the way the movie is going that I'm supposed to feel empathy for him at this point. But he didn't get that redemption arc that I've been talking about from the start. So I don't feel empathy for him.
Darren?
I think he did. I just feel sad for him. I just feel sad the fact that, this place he's been totally killed by this place. He's been totally fucking taken over by it. He thought compared to what he was when he went in first, and he was full of jokes and full of, this place is just my fucking bitch and stuff. And what has happened to him in here? Mentally, not just the lobotomy, obviously, but mentally, I think before he got the lobotomy, he was totally defeated. When he saw Billy, that was the end of him. I have a totally different fucking experience this movie from years ago. Derry, did you enjoy Ratchet more than this movie?
Yes, 100%. Okay. I loved every minute of Ratchet.
And see, that to me, I didn't, because I think the person in this movie and the girl that Sarah Paulson played were 2 different characters.
Oh no, absolutely. As a different movie, I didn't look at this Ratchet as that Ratchet. I knew it was a different story. So I didn't compare
Ratchet that. In Ratchet like a bitch?
Not really.
No, she's actually quite caring towards her patients.
She's a survivor more than that girl in the show. She does that to survive and that to get the whole show is basically her trying to help someone out, but she does obviously horrible things to help that fucking person out.
She does actually give a shit about her patients, her job and stuff.
It's end justify the means kind of thing.
Basically, yeah.
It doesn't come across it like that in this either.
Oh yeah, it's very, very different. Very, very different. So once I kind of realized that, obviously I didn't go into this taking the Ratchet series as an example or taking it as a reference. I left that completely out of it.
So with this, I feel like the Ratchet character could have put a lot more pressure on Jack Nicholson's character. I feel like Jack Nicholson could have been a lot more of an asshole at the very least if it was going to be that way inclined. But by the end of it...
What did you feel for Jack Nicholson at this moment when he has the lobotomy? What did you think?
I felt horrible. I wouldn't like anybody to get a lobotomy. I wouldn't like... I felt like this was a film about individuals and it was a film about being yourself regardless. But at the end of the day, Jack Nicholson didn't realize what was right and what was wrong, and that's the basis of it. He had his own emotions, but he couldn't control them. And whether he should be in prison or whether he should be in a mental institute is a good discussion. But at the end of the day, nobody is the greatest enemy in this other than Jack Nicholson. He is the protagonist and he is his own enemy. Like you said, Darren, at the start, it's not Nurse Ratched. She's the box. She's structure. She's society. But she is not evil herself. She's like neutral. She's like doing her job, and that's what society is there to do. And Jack Nicholson's character is the rebellious person that ends up getting lobotomized by society. And if you want to take it that's like, oh, an existential, yeah, I learned from it. But as a character study, like as a character, I didn't really feel bad for him. I felt, you know what, at the end of the day, he's probably better off that way rather than fucking over a load of rest of people. Like how worse could he get, basically? It kind of takes a weird turn now where the Indian, the Native American guy becomes like the protagonist. He fucking puts a pillow over Jack Nicholson. I thought it would also be funny if Jack Nicholson was also joking at this point as well. And
I was waiting for it.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, no! And he dies. So they have a bit of a moment, and the chief basically says that he doesn't want to leave without he couldn't leave Jack Nicholson in that state effectively, which is fair. So he decides to escape without him. He kills Jack Nicholson. He goes into the bathroom. I like this bit where he decides to actually accomplish something that, you know, McMurphy wanted to do in the first place and rip out the water thing, and then puts it through the window, absolutely demolishes it. Like, that thing weighed a ton. It was like marble. Puts it through a window and then walks off into the distance.
Well, I can't understand something. You know when Jack Nicholson lobotomy and he was like smothering him with a pillow, would that just be your, because this is something for me, would that just be your body reacting to trying to get some oxygen?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was thinking that. I said, if you can't, okay.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, that looks like he was actually going, no, stop! I'm joking.
Yeah, no,
I'll be back in 2 seconds.
That's why you can't smother yourself. Because once you start having that fit of trying to get oxygen, you're obviously going to let go and the oxygen's going to come back in.
Yeah. I was thinking that because something I always wondered, was it Jack Nicholson obviously fucking about, or was he actually just, like, clearly he wasn't, clearly he was just, but then again, it was that thought in my head, was like, was it...
No, you see in any movie of somebody getting smothered, they always have like these full body jerks.
Yeah.
The oxygen kind of goes out. So
I thought it was one of those things where, not that he didn't have a lobotomy, but he had a lobotomy, but he's like, he was able to like tell him, but he didn't obviously get a chance to fucking say before he died.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. I suppose that question would kind of still be there though.
It's like a horrible fate that, you know, your man fucking killed him, like thinking that he was the...
Yeah, like how, what's the word? When someone is present, how... Oh, what's it called when you're lucid? Like how lucid was he?
Sorry, yeah, lucid. Yeah.
You know, because that's obviously another question that could be there. Like, okay, he's had a lobotomy, but he's come out of a lobotomy before. Well, it was electroshock therapy before being perfectly lucid.
I guess we'll never know.
We'll never know.
And that's a good point to end this podcast. We'll never know. But I like the film. I genuinely enjoyed it. I think it was a little bit weak in points, though.
It's a little perfect. I would agree with that.
No, but I think at the time it would have been like awe-striking. But nowadays, where we can actually see people for what they are, it doesn't make as much of an impact as it probably should have. Like I said, I watched this film probably about 10 years ago and had a different opinion about it than I would have now, because I came to this film watching it with a different opinion altogether. So with that, I really enjoyed the film, but there was points in it where I would have liked to see it pop a little bit more, give me a little bit more investment in either hating character A, B, and C, or empathizing with character A, B, and C. They gave me too much at too many times. Either the nurse was trying to be over controlling but actually morally right, or Jack was meant to be individualistic but morally wrong. So it was like four competing aspects kind of come together in the film with a lot of fantastic actors. So at the end of the day, I think I'm going to give this film a 7 cuckoos and an egg that's kind of like crushed and fell out of the nest. Darren?
What?
7 cuckoos, but then like a cuckoo's egg that's like fell out of the nest and never survived.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it
everything.
I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
An 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Very reasonable. I like it.
I have a question. Was your score higher before the podcast?
No.
Okay.
Oh.
No.
We had no influence at all.
I really, really, really enjoyed the movie, and I like doing these podcasts because I like getting different point of views from when I do watch it next time. I think, oh, maybe Jack was a fucking bit of an asshole, but I still take away from it when I watch it again, and I always say, yeah. Like, the reason why I took the 2 points away from a 10 is because there wasn't more. That's literally it. I would love it more. And also that scene that I fucking hate with her on the boat. I can't. I have to fast forward every time. There's nothing to do with the movie. It's just me, and I find it very boring. So,
for a film that was 2 hours and 15 minutes, there was no boring parts in it, which I'll have to give her credit. It didn't bore me at all.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of parts where I thought I would have liked a little bit more.
Yeah.
You could have replaced that scene with a better scene, let's say. Derry, your rating out of 10.
I was bored at a lot of parts, so I disagree with you. I think the first half was very, very slow. It was kind of samey, and there wasn't like hardly any progression, like I said. I felt like it was too long, and that, what's that rating? It tried to be both a comedy and a social commentary, and never quite achieved either. So I'm going to give it 4 red pills, and that is just for performances.
Oh, more red pills this week. What is it with the women and giving men red pills, right? Red pill and men. I think overall, it was probably, it felt like a movie taking a lot of tips from a book. It didn't work in the same structure as a film would normally in a 4-act structure. That's why I kind of left it out this week, because the act 4 was basically 20 minutes before the end of the film, where actual people developed and things happened. The rest of it was just Jack Nicholson. But again, maybe you have a different rating. Maybe you have a 9 out of 10. Maybe we're completely wrong and we're completely amateur about it, but we would love to hear your thoughts on the subject. We're going to take... Oh, Darren.
I think you're both wrong.
I like it. Okay. Continue. Oh, is that it?
That's it.
Oh, okay, thanks. Well, we're both wrong, and this is a democracy, so me and Derry win the day. Darren, you're wrong. But maybe next week you'll be right, when we'll be watching The Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Yay!
We'll be watching The Wizard of Oz next week. It's my pick, because I am wonderful. And it's one that I hope you will join us for. My pick last time was It's a Wonderful Life. Maybe I'm going with some sort of a wonderful theme. The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. So join us next week when we'll be talking about The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. And then it'll be Derry's pick next week. After that, we'll have a fun old time. So again, thanks for joining us this week on Twitch. We'll be on YouTube on Tuesday with the full episode. And then during the week, we'll be releasing small snippets about an hour long. So make sure to subscribe on YouTube. Come on to us on Instagram.
Come on to us.
Jesus Christ.
Come visit us on Instagram and see the finished product that's beautifully in the middle. I'll be transitioning to it right now in just a second so you can have a full look.
So we're going to ignore this part because that part got lost in translation, so we're just going to ignore that weird part. So yeah, basically, I didn't find much to inspire me in this movie, symbol-wise or imagery-wise, because obviously it was just a very
awesome. Yeah, it was awesome. There, is that what you're saying? Awesome. Yeah,
so obviously
totally
just Ratchet and her red pill. There you go.
Hey,
I decided
fantastic.
to go with the public perception of Ratchet and add in those kind of like horror red streaks and just go with that.
I think she looks smoking hot in that picture.
She does look pretty hot, doesn't she?
She looks pretty hot. I like it.
I draw a lot of hot women, so I don't think I can avoid it.
Yeah, sexy. Hey, Judy.
I'm trying to make her look older, and I just can't do it.
I will make a request for next week, if I may. Can we include the Scarecrow in some fashion?
Oh, interesting.
Hey, maybe people can suggest things for your drawings next week. Maybe people can comment in the chat and suggest something for the Wizard of Oz next week, such as...
Are you wrangling for a free tattoo design? Is that what's happening right now?
I'm trying to wrangle for a free tattoo design. That's what's happening. You read me like a book, Derry. So that's what we do. If you have a suggestion for maybe Derry's picture next week in the theme of the Wizard of Oz, do feel free to comment on our videos. We'll be on YouTube, Instagram. Where else are we, Derry?
Twitter, Facebook, and Twitch.
All the good ones. So thanks so much again for joining us again this week, guys. We'll be back again next Sunday. Sunday is going to be our day for a podcast. I think it works a lot better and everybody can chill out and we get a little bit of a time towards the end to just have a bit of a chat. And yeah, invite your friends. Invite all your friends. We love friends. Darren, do you have anything to say?
Just that they were both wrong on everything, and it was awesome. And if you haven't seen the movie, watch the movie and just don't listen to what they said. No,
okay.
No. All opinions are awesome here, and I actually got some really, really good fucking advice about the movie tonight that I will take on board for next time I watch it.
That's what we want. That's what we want. More opinions, more differing opinions.
Because I get like good opinions and like stuff that I watch when I watch the movies next time. Like I will never watch The Crow again, but if I was to watch it, like I would think something different about it now. And like The Craft especially, and like this movie definitely, because I will be watching this movie again.
I think this has been one of our most divisive movies.
Yeah,
I think we needed that. There's been a lot of love for like It's a Wonderful Life and Misery. I think we needed one where we were very on different pages, like
So go back and watch how much we disagreed or agreed on the last one. I'm basically the one that gets shouted at a lot and disagreed with, but this is where we all had differing opinions.
Our resident contrarian usually.
Yeah.
Today was my turn. Apparently, it's usually Jamie.
So again, thanks so much for joining us again this week. Myself has been Jamie. Thou self has been Darren. Thine self has been Derry. And join us again next week for a lovely rendition of A Real Shade. Thanks very much, everybody. Have a lovely night. Bye-bye. Bye.